Nashville, Tennessee, renowned for being the country music capital of the world. But this weekend, the Music City is hosting IndyCar. It's a street circuit around Titan Stadium and over a bridge. It's as wild as the parties that happen nightly on Broadway. And speaking of hitting the streets, where are my broadcast partners?
Dude, I love coming to Nashville. The atmosphere here is just awesome, and it's so cool to be in this city again. We're here on a party bus heading to the race. This is the best.
I've seen the party buses for years. I've never been on one, so I think we got to take a little rip around town.
I think we should. What are we waiting for? Well, what are we waiting for?
This guy.
Woo! What's up, guys? Music City Grand Prix, the sights, the sounds. But Rick, there's only one sound we need to start this race. Woo! Let's go.
That'll give you a little hint as to the flavor of today as we welcome you to NBC Sports presentation of IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. You know, when you're headed to a big event, the build-up, the hype, the anticipation is almost as good as the event itself. Well, that's it in a nutshell here today in Nashville, Tennessee. So much excitement about this event. Hi, folks. Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe, who finished on the podium here in the inaugural event 2 years ago. T-Bell, what's got you all revved up today?
I'll tell you what, Nashville has caught my heart for sure. I mean, this is a relentless cocktail of fun, sun, speed, and partying. It all just comes together. And it doesn't matter who you meet here, from the governor, Lee, to the local staff at the restaurants and the hotels. There is so much warmth, so much welcoming for all race fans coming to this great race.
Hinch, for you?
Well, look, I mean, this town knows how to party, and they've put on a party here for IndyCar. And look, I know we still have 80 laps of racing to go today. I'm already excited about 2024, guys. IndyCar's announced a 3-year extension here at Nashville, but not just that. This is now going to be the championship finale. We're going to be celebrating our champion right here in Nashville, and also the track layout is changing. We're going to be racing up Broadway next year. It's going to be awesome.
Hey, seeing how we're right near an NFL stadium, you keep the ball. Let's talk business. We're down to the last 5 races of the season. Today is actually the last street course race. Is any of that going to factor into what we see today?
It is, and I'll tell you why. There's only 2 drivers really in the fight for this championship now, and if Joseph Newgarden wants to keep Alex Palou in his sights, he has to win. This is a must-win situation for the 2 team. Everyone else, they're out of the championship fight, guys, so all they're thinking about is race wins. You're going to see big risks and big gambles as people go for it all here on the streets.
I think it's a great point, James, because that means there's 25 drivers absolutely sending it on a track that is easily the most unpredictable on the IndyCar schedule. Cautions breed cautions. Well, this place clones cautions. You go back to 2021, that was Marcus Ericsson launching off the back of Sebastian Bourdais. Then this was Malukas and Kyle Kirkwood into the wall. How about Roman Grosjean in that yellow DHL car up front getting pushed off by Joseph Newgarden? That welcome to IndyCar moment for Grosjean. The point is that this track brings all kinds of drama. It averages 8.5 cautions per race. So sit down, buckle up. It's going to be a wild one.
It's in no disrespect to the city, but the drivers referred to it as Crashville. They know that they are in for an eventful day, which certainly makes it entertaining. We'll talk a whole lot more about that. But first, let's get you up to speed with what's going on in case you've missed the headlines. I mentioned we're down to the last 5. Series is going to end at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Final street course today. Next weekend in Indianapolis with the NASCAR IndyCar crossover. We're there in the Circle City. How about championship-wise? Alex Palou, who's trying to win his 2nd title. Joseph Newgarden, the Nashville local hero. He's already won 2, and he's the Indy 500 champ of this year. Let's talk the front row. Scotty Mack, Scott McLaughlin on the pole position alongside Pato O'Ward, the ninja, Mr. Fast Hands. It's always exciting when he's up front. Let's hear from him now with Dave Burns.
And Lee, I think as you can see, Pato has embraced everything about this weekend. Once again, the big event that it is, the hat and everything. So Pato, how do you embrace the winner's trophy by day's end?
How do I embrace it? With a nice cold shower after it, because this one's going to be a hot one.
And you think you can get there?
Can we get there? Absolutely. We won't exactly know until we actually do, but maybe 3rd time's a charm for us here in Nashville. We've had some horrible luck here in the past.
All right, good luck to you today. It's always a mystery at how they get there, and Kevin Lee, McLaughlin will be thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin has the best starting position, and normally winning the pole is half the battle in a road or street course race. How much are you hoping that this one is not chaos this year?
Yeah, well, I was hoping last year, but you can't predict anything here in Nashville. But what a place to have a race here, and Dixon Machine Chevy feels good. 2 years in a row on the pole, that's fantastic. But yeah, big day today, hot one, but feel like we're prepared and ready to go.
Lee, second pole in a row here for Scott McLaughlin, trying to go one spot better this year.
He's a multi-time IndyCar race winner, but he described yesterday as the best qualifying lap he has ever done, Hinch. Does that mean that he's the man to beat today?
I think so. He was so dominant in qualifying. Like you said, back-to-back, he was on pole 2 years in a row. Last year, he just missed out on winning the race, got pushed back because of strategy, chasing down Scott Dixon in the dying laps from 15th up to 2nd. He missed by a nose. They asked him, what did you need to win? He said, one more lap. I think it was one more corner. He'd have had the victory. So today, the Thirsty Threes are hungry for a win.
But I'll tell you what, James, he has to watch out because although there's nobody in front of him to start this race, right behind Scott McLaughlin is Colton Herta. Nobody has been faster on this racetrack than the driver, the number 26 you see right there. California native, but he calls Nashville home now. This was while leading back in 2021. Or I should say chasing the lead down. He was the fastest guy trying to reclaim the lead. You could see hands in his face. He couldn't believe it. He has the speed, but he doesn't have the winning result to show for it yet. He's fast again today. He'll be filling McLaughlin's mirrors on the start.
I'm calling today conversion day for Colton Herta, who now calls Nashville home. He's going to convert a decent qualifying spot to a great result. He's only got one podium on the year. I think today in his new adopted home, he could deliver. For those of you who have been to Nashville, Tennessee, you know what a party place it is. You cannot have anything but fun here, and we're going to have a whole lot today. And remember, next year we're going to be racing on Broadway. That's going to be crazy, but we've got a whole lot coming your way here today first.
Hey, grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screen to enter, because now is your chance to drive away with a new Corvette courtesy of Hy-Vee and Gatorade. All season, enter for a chance to win one of 4 Corvettes. And this season, racing fans have a chance to win one of 4 2023 Chevy Corvettes courtesy of Hy-Vee and Gatorade. So this weekend, Hy-Vee provided keys to the lucky winner of the 3rd Corvette. Congratulations to Kathleen Honor from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Scan the code on your screen for your chance to enter, or search for Hy-Vee Corvette giveaway online. The final winner will be revealed at the Firestone Grand Prix in Monterey, California on September 10th. A massive crowd has gathered in downtown Nashville to race over a bridge, and it's time now for opening ceremonies.
Please remain standing as IndyCar Ministries Chaplain Jason Holt offers today's invocation.
Father God, we thank you for the gift of life, for creating such an amazing place for us, as well as the freedoms to pray openly and gather freely, only through the sacrifice of so many brave men and women. And so today, God, we ask for your blessing over our events, that you would be with our drivers, our teams, safety personnel, and these great fans for an exciting yet safe day of racing. But most of all, Father, we say thank you for the hope and love available to all through the cross of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Here today to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please give a Nashville welcome to the J. DeMarcus All-Stars, J. DeMarcus, Jason Sheff, and Jason Crabb.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
Let's hear it.
What a great way to get things going for the third edition of the Music City Grand Prix. And one driver who has been hot on the streets this year has been Romain Grosjean. A pole at St. Pete to start the year, and then a podium at Long Beach. But as he said in his own words, Nashville has not been kind to me. Perhaps today he can turn it around with a little kindness and his first IndyCar victory. Dylan Welch.
Dave, let's talk about row number 7. Christian Lundgaard starts on the inside of this row. He's the most recent winner on a street course a couple weeks ago at Toronto. Starting next to him, Felix Rosenqvist. He's looking for his first win in almost 3 years, but talk to them both after qualifying. They're optimistic they can still win because they're happy with their cars, and they've got a plan. Be bold and go forward from the start. They've got the softer tires on to help them navigate traffic early, and if they're as good as they say, row 7 won't be here for long, Kevin.
Dylan, Devlin DeFrancesco's Andretti Steinbrenner car has a new look this weekend. It's the Woo Energy Honda, and that's Woo with 5 zeros, and that's because it's a brand, a professional wrestling superstar and legend, Ric Flair, and we've got him up the party bus. He's right here. I know you know how to cut a promo.
I'm in town, Nashville.
Here big, so what are we in store for today?
Well,
big picture.
See that car style and profile, road race like never before. And look for the biggest party in the history of Nashville after we're winning.
Enjoy the day. Hey, this is cool. You never know who you run into at an IndyCar race, Diff.
Woo! Woo energy! Look at us only! We can look, style it, and profile it.
That's what we wanted to hear. Nature Boy here in Nashville in the Music City, and he is all pumped up as Kevin continues his celebrity run. Flavor Flav, Ric Flair, there is no end to Kevin's celebrity interviews. Hey, there's no end to the fun to be had by the IndyCar drivers, as our very own James Hinchcliffe shows us with NB Sing.
This is NB Sing It.
But until the gates are open, I just want to feel this moment. Whoa, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Man, it sounds so different when you say it. You said it horribly. I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life in plastic. It's fantastic. Keep going.
You can brush my hair. Undress me anywhere.
Bit presumptuous, Mr. Erickson. No, I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't tub. It's not tub. Do you know what the nickname of Nashville is?
I know that there's a lot of bridesmaids parties here.
No, okay. Do you know what the name of this race is?
The Nashville Grand Prix?
The
Music City. Yeah, okay.
Music City. We'll cut that part. Life is a highway. I want to ride it.
All night, all day long. Is it all night long? Yeah. Life is a highway. Lightning McQueen. I watched Cars like 4 days ago.
I appreciate you playing the game.
It's from Cars.
No, it's not. It's in Cars.
Yeah. You gotta give it with like the sense of the song. I just wanna feel this moment. Whoa.
Baby, I'm just gonna.
Shake. All right, shake, 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 shake. It off, shake it off.
What's your favorite song?
Right now, Suspicious Minds, Elvis Presley.
Right now?
Yeah, like right now. I also just touched his pants like 2 days ago. I know a guy that owns some of his pants from back in the days. Not underpants, just pants.
Yep. Okay. All right, stop.
Collaborate and listen. Ice back, my brand new edition. Something grabs a hold of me tightly for a hot daily and nightly. I can keep going, but that's good.
That is incredible. I think it's almost a guaranteed repeat win. You do win something. You're going to fit into Nashville.
Thank you, man.
You just got hinched. You didn't get hitched, you got hinched. So you can wear that and really fit in around the streets in Nashville.
Love it. Thank you, bro. It means a lot. Just got hinged?
Just got hinged. So
I like that. I get to keep this, right?
Sure.
Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. Yeah.
And that's why they are some of the world's best drivers, not the world's best musical artists.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be too upset that we're changing the sounds of drivers singing for the sounds of IndyCar engines around the streets here.
But thank you for playing along, because it's all part of the party atmosphere here in Nashville.
Listen, you get a couple of those guys out at Broadway tonight after the race.
Exactly.
I think there's some potential in there. I like Pato Award's energy. Marcus Ericsson
bringing that house vibe strongly.
Folks, it is hot here, 86 degrees, 72% humidity, but it feels way hotter and more humid than that. This is a tough afternoon's work for the drivers in the NTT IndyCar Series. This is the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix in the Music City. What a day, what a party, and what a race coming up. Woo!
If you guys want to see some cool racing, go to Nashville.
The Music City Grand Prix is green. Marcus Ericsson going over the top of Sebastian Bourdais.
Herta is going to have to put on some slick moves.
Oh!
Colton Herta just hit the wall. Oh!
There's no way around, track's blocked.
Moves are happening.
Oh,
look at this,
first one.
3 wide.
Oh,
Trouble. Beautiful pass.
Dixon blasts away. Oh, and Grosjean is in the wall.
Lovely. Lovely.
McLaughlin tries to drag race Dixon and can't do it. It was an improbable victory for Marcus Ericsson. It was an improbable victory for Dixon in Nashville. NBC Sports, your home of motorsports, welcomes you to Nashville, Tennessee for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It's race 13 of the 17 race season for the 2023 NTT IndyCar Series. It's only the 3rd time for this event. It's new, but it packs a punch and it's a lot of fun. Let's go trackside for the command to get things going.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give the command for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Please welcome your Grand Marshal, founder, president, and CEO of all things Big Machine, Mr. Scott Borchetta.
Welcome to Nashville, and on behalf of all things Big Machine Records, Big Machine Distillery, Big Machine Spike Coolers, Big Machine Racing, welcome to Nashville, and welcome to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Let's get this party started. Drivers, start your engines!
Starting up.
Just on a personal note, Scott Borchetta is a racer himself and had a really serious crash earlier this year, and good to see him healthy. Good to see him here, good to see him in great spirits and healthy, most importantly, and thank you to him and Big Machine Music and the Big Machine Company for everything they do. Let's get you to the Big Machine starting grid. Scotty Mack, McLaughlin on the front row with Pato O'Ward. It's a Penske, Arrow McLaren, Chevrolet front row.
But right behind row 1, row 2 is what I'm watching. You've got Colton Herta. All he wants is a win today. Alex Palou, all he wants is a clean finish. He has to make it clean on the start, the championship leader.
Down at row 5, you saw Joseph Newgarden there. He's in a must-win, but look at P11, the rookie. Linus Lundqvist. That's going to happen a lot, making his IndyCar debut in the number 60, subbing for Simon Pagenaud. Incredible effort for his first time qualifying in the IndyCar Series.
A lot of excitement back on row 10, Diff. You've got young Rinus VeeKay, always aggressive on the street circuits, qualifying way back from where he's used to. And then Marcus Ericsson, another Chip Ganassi racing driver, a championship contender, sits 4th in points, but he'll roll off 20th.
Let's keep moving through. You got Ferrucci and Harvey, Augustine Canapino, who had a penalty in qualifying yesterday, and fellow rookie Stingray Robb, and then Peterson, DiFrancesco, and Ryan Hunter-Ray. We need a last-minute update on Will Power. What is going on with the Verizon Chevy driver, Kevin Lee?
The car is still not fired yet, but there's nothing wrong with the car. Will didn't have his earbuds, was frantically searching for them. This was when he finally was directed to where they were coming from for several minutes, panicked, asking the crew, where are they? And they came running up from the front of the pit lane. This was just about 3 minutes or so ago, right before the engines were fired, so he's still getting strapped in.
Pace car down. Pace car is approaching turn 9. They've got about 45 to 60 seconds to get him going.
And that's just the worst feeling as a driver. You've got only a few minutes anyway after all the ceremonies that come, you know, the anthem, all of that, to get yourself focused, and you don't have your equipment. You've got a routine when you get into the car. That's all been broken for Will now, so that's such a tough mental condition to deal with.
I think it sets the tone for the day, which is
around a little bit.
It's not going to take much to get people fired up and angry when things don't go their way, and Will Power off to a rough start.
All right, as he gets going, let's take you to the track map. Let's take a closer look at this venue.
And here Here we go. Beautiful streets in Nashville. Across the bridge, one of the biggest features on this racetrack. Such a cool layout and a huge challenge for the drivers. So bumpy. We start on the bridge into what's turn 9. You see the start-finish line there in front of Nissan Stadium. Down back across the bridge into the tight section on the other side of the river. It's bumpy, it is technical, but it is a lot of fun to wheel an IndyCar around here.
But it is trapped in, at least the cars and drivers are, by the concrete, and it can get so hot inside those walls. Temperature right now, 86 degrees as we ride on board with the rookie. Sensational debut. His first IndyCar race. This shot compliments of Honda going to turn 4. Heavy brake zone, super bumpy. You can make passes there, but it has to be a high percentage decision.
You can make passes, you can also make mistakes. The other place that's really popular is down off the bridge on the other side, turn 9. This is where the race start will happen. Not where restarts are going to happen this year, but again, downhill, then back uphill, very bumpy. Thanks to Honda for the preview of the track. It is a tough one.
Okay, well, speaking of Honda, we're going to talk to a Honda driver. We're going to also talk to somebody who won the inaugural Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. That's last year's Indy 500 winner, Marcus Ericsson.
Hey, Marcus Ericsson's Townsend Bell in the NBC booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
All right. You have a great reputation here of being part of chaos, but still figuring out a way to win. But you're back in 20th. What's it going to take today to make the magic happen again?
It seems like history is at least 5 stops to win. So, I think it's going to be a crazy one. I think for us the key is to be flexible, be ready for whatever the race throws at us. We know we're going to have a quick car, so take the opportunities that present themselves.
Okay, well, let's make sure we don't try out for Supercross this year with that big jump like you had the first time. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. I'll try and keep it on the ground this time, but yeah, it's a good day.
All right, thank you. That's a good suggestion because Marcus Ericsson came to several rounds of Monster Energy Supercross earlier this year. Time to take a look at the GMR track facts for you with some important figures on this, the last time we will be on this layout, because if you didn't hear earlier in the broadcast, we are going downtown next year. We're going to be racing down Broadway, so a new configuration next year. Thankfully, we will keep the crossover, the Columbia River there, and or the Cumberland River, I should say, and going over the Korean War Veterans Memorial Bridge. So there's still going to be the bridge crossover, but a new layout next year. So get ready to run here for this 80 laps. It's going to be grueling. There is an additional vent and scoop put on the car. We'll tell you more about that. And you're looking at the 2023 Honda Civic Type R as the pace car, the official pace car for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. How many times will we see that out on track is a question. We saw it 8 times last year.
Yeah, Oriol Servia might lead the most laps in this race. You never know.
Keep that thing fueled up. It's about to get wild. What a day. 111 degrees on the racetrack. It's at least that hot inside the cockpit for these drivers, but the humidity, James, is 70% right now.
That's what saps it out of you as a driver. These cars, they've got the aero screens now. You're not getting as much wind as we see Will Power getting his position back on the racetrack. So this is definitely going to be a super physical challenge for the drivers.
Well, you heard Townsend and James mention earlier that Linus Lundqvist is in the Carries Country Meyershank racing car, filling in for a champion and Indy 500 winner, Simon Pagenaud, who suffered this crash a few rounds ago at Mid-Ohio. It has taken a little longer for Simon to get back to a physical state ready and to be cleared by IndyCar Medical to be back. So this is the 3rd substitute now for Simon Pagenaud, and with more on Linus Lundqvist, here's Dave Burns.
Lee Lundqvist is 24 years old from Sweden, and he won a championship last year and the next closest thing to IndyCar here in the States. But with no ride this year, he's been bringing his helmet and his seat to every race. The teams know him, and Mike Shank and Jim Meyer decided to put him in the car this weekend. He's been so jubilant in everything he's done. In fact, after qualifying, big high fives to all the team, and so happy with everything he's been able to do. They've been happy with him as well. They think he will be great in the race, and we shall see, Kevin.
Dave, it's a home game for Joseph Newgarden, born and raised in the area, moved back to Nashville a few years ago. He swept the weekend at Iowa a couple of weeks ago to get back in the championship, and now he has the opportunity to do something that only Mario Andretti has done, win the Indy 500, and in the same year, win a race in your hometown. Dylan Welch.
Kevin, for Newgarden to keep climbing in the points battle, he needs Alex Palou to have some bad luck. For everybody else in the field today, the goal is simple. They just have to win and hope Palou falters. The bad news for everyone else, Palou indicated they still plan to keep their foot on everybody's neck and not let up despite the points lead.
Well, he did that just 2 weeks ago at the doubleheader, the Hy-Vee doubleheader weekend at Iowa Speedway. So Alex Palou has been very good at managing this championship. This is the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. You can see Will Power has filled into his initial position and no start. Race control says we are not happy with the pack up coming across the bridge, and we're going to do one more lap.
Yeah, it did seem like they were just a little bit too spread out as they were coming through the 7-8 section. So I'm not surprised by that call. Nice slow lap now from Scott McLaughlin at the front of the field. They'll get them nice and packed up.
What does that do for you fellas when you're all amped up for the start and then it gets waved off? It's like ready, ready, ready. Oh.
If I'm Pato O'Ward or Colton Hurd, I'm not the pole sitter. I know there's almost 100% chance that it's green the next attempt. It's very rare to wave off too. I think the advantage goes away from McLaughlin and to the other cars, second, third place. They can get a jump and probably feel like we're going to get away with it if we get a jump on McLaughlin, because race control is going to want to get this thing started.
How did the delay affect Will Power, do you think, psychologically and as far as the ritual and routine? Big deal, not a big deal?
No, it gives him another lap to kind of get back in the zone, cool down, calm down, focus. Not that it's ever a huge issue, but yeah, we see on this onboard right now, there's a mandated piece. This scoop right here on top of the aero screen, if there's a certain number with a heat and humidity combination, after which IndyCar mandates this to keep drivers cool. That just funnels air into the cockpit, but they don't want to make it an option for the drivers because then engineers won't ever give it to you because it's drag.
And I don't agree with you, Hinch. I think Will Power is still hot because there's nothing hotter than driving around under yellow because you don't get the airflow at speed. He got in mad. I promise you he is still fired up. He wants to get that number 12 Verizon Chevy forward.
All right, let's see what he can do today. This is going to be a busy afternoon. It's going to be a frantic afternoon. It's just the nature of this track. It's a catalyst for chaos. And we'll see if that trend continues here today. Scott McLaughlin got that bonus championship point yesterday, courtesy of winning the NTTP1 award. That put him ahead of the guy that he's sharing the front row with, Pato O'Ward. They were locked, tied for 5th in the championship points coming into this Nashville weekend. Now McLaughlin's 5th outright. But everybody, unless you're in championship contention like Palou and Newgarden, you are racing for a win. That's what it's about here today in the Music City. It's a slightly better pack up this time. We see green here in Nashville. McLaughlin at the front. But look at Colton Herta. He's diving hard on the inside.
Pato O'Ward with the point, but Colton Hurd is going to force it in on Alex Palou. He knows he can take advantage of the championship leader.
I saw Linus Lundqvist getting beat up a little bit there, pushed around as the new guy, but everyone through turn 9. Look at them, 2 and 3 wide tire smoke in the back, side by side. Alex Palou and Romain Grosjean.
David Malukas is up to 4th. What a start from the Dale Coyne HMD racer.
And now Christian Lundgaard, the winner at Toronto in the black and red 45 back there. He's getting racy.
Newgarden and Kirkwood side by side into turn 1 here. Kirkwood's going to have to give that position up as they file through that tight chicane.
2 drivers who had incidents here last year making moves. Look at that black and red Hy-Vee Honda. That's Christian Lundgaard. He loves this race, was really frustrated with qualifying. He wants redemption today in this 80-lap event.
Everybody on exceptional behavior as Newgarden looks to make a move, and Lundgaard, big lockup, almost gets into the back of Newgarden.
Here on the inside, that is
Felix Rosenqvist on Castroneves. Such a tough corner to get it slowed down. You're turning, you're braking, it's bumpy, it's downhill, and now we see side by side. That's the pink and white Auto Nation 27 of Kyle Kirkwood going by the Verizon Chevy Will Power.
Look at Newgarden, he's been swamped in that blue PPG Chevy.
It looks like Christian Lundgaard just muscled Joseph Newgarden out of the way, and now a sea of orange. You've got Scott Dixon, and I think that's Rosenqvist or Rossi coming in the Aero McLaren.
Here's Dixon, the orange and blue machine on the inside. He crashed out of qualifying yesterday, and Dixon has now made his 318th consecutive start to tie his good friend and former teammate Tony Kanaan for the longest run in IndyCar history. Incredible.
Joseph Newgarden has his hands full. One of the reasons he's on the harder black tire. He opted to start on the primary. It'll last longer, but it doesn't have the grip at the beginning of this stint. Scott Dixon knows that. Alex Rossi knows that right behind Newgarden. They're going to try to pounce here.
So a lot of drivers opting to start on that alternate tire because you have to run both compounds during the races. We already see one driver, Rinus VeeKay, he's in the pits to get off those alternates onto the black sidewalk primaries because, again, you have to run both. But practice was so limited with the weather, with the delays. As we see a pass move now here, Rosenquist on Rahal. But these guys have so little tire data. So little tire data. They've got to just figure it out in the race. They want to get these alternates on and hopefully get them off as quickly as possible.
Kevin Lee, tell us more about the fifth third bank Honda of Graham Rahal.
Well, let's let Graham Rahal tell you the story. He's getting ready to pit. Let's listen to radio.
I'm going to have to pit. Right front is gone. Pressures look okay. What's going on? It won't stop locking. Literally won't stop.
So what we don't know whether this is because of contact or if it's just a horribly handling car. We'll watch when he comes in.
Watch here. Does it lock? Does it lock here?
It doesn't. I don't know if I'd pit right now, James.
That puts you in a pretty bad spot.
Don't take any wing out.
Graham asking for no wing out. He'll pull in right here. That's his out of turn 10. There we go. Into pit lane. That's the start of a long afternoon traditionally.
Listen, if you had to take a gamble, you can do it here.
It won't turn, says Graham Rahal in a frustrated voice. Meanwhile, Scott McLaughlin's opened up a 1.5 second advantage over Pato O'Ward, Colton Herta. Malukas hanging tough in fourth ahead of the championship leader. But the Dex Imaging Chevy, right there, the red and white machine, Scotty Mack, he was denied the victory in the closest ever street course finish by his countryman Scott Dixon a year ago. He is in control, he is in command to get this Big Machine Music City Grand Prix underway. That's the American Legion Honda, the blue and white machine of Alex Palou. Championship leader made a very straightforward move on David Malukas. That's for fourth. And that was very straightforward. Great start by Malukas, we have to say. Terrific qualifying to make the Firestone Fast 6. He's traditionally and typically done better on ovals than on road and street courses, but Malukas is shining today.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Great performance yesterday under tough conditions, and it's great to see him still kind of running up front. Kept a championship leader and a former champion behind him for 7 laps there. Now he's got Grosjean on his gearbox. You saw Palou all over the push to pass to make that move happen. You see Grosjean on it right now, those green lights on the side of the wheel. Only 150 seconds of push to pass at Nashville this weekend. It is 200 at some other tracks, but only 150 here, and Grosjean using a bit of it there, Dave.
One of the reasons why Palou was willing to go out and pass her, because he knew that Romain Grosjean was on the primary tire, the harder tire, which hasn't quite come in yet. So there was a little bit of a cushion there for Grosjean's part. Qualified 6th and now wants to keep that primary going and get the best side of it, which will be the other side of the run.
I really like the way Alex Palou has played the start of this thing. He was conservative. He's right on board with Grosjean, who now has a run also on David Malukas. What does the driver of the 18 do?
Just see how bumpy it is offline. He just faded a little bit out. Not a total defensive move, but it forced Grosjean to a part of the track that they haven't been driving on. It's so bumpy.
And let me just finish up on Alex Palou. I love the way he played this. Conservative on the start to protect his car. Now head down, getting into a rhythm, and for good reason, because on road and street circuits, this guy is an absolute Pac-Man, gobbling up points. These are points earned this season on the road and street circuits. There's 8 of them so far. This is the 9th, and Alex Palou doing what he's done all season. This is why he has such a big championship lead.
And the juxtaposition right now between the leader, Palou, and the challenger, Joseph Newgarden. Palou's had a much better start to this race and has expanded his championship lead. Let's go on board the PPG Chevy. This is Joseph Newgarden. What happened to him earlier in this race? The view from Alexander Rossi's Arrow McLaren Chevy. Look up ahead.
Inside of turn 8, Lundgaard just kind of sneaks in on Newgarden. You see Newgarden's on that harder black tire, another driver that took that strategy. And as Dave Burns reported, just takes a while for the tire to come into its own. We'll get to a crossover point. We talk about it all the time, where the green tire falls off, the black tire then has the advantage. I think, guys, that's probably only a couple laps away.
Here we go, Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon mounting a challenge on Alexander Rossi here. Uncharacteristic yesterday, Hinch, by Scott Dixon. He clipped the inside wall and it ricocheted off and he crashed out of qualifying. Frustrated, but he got a little bit caught out by how gripped up the track was.
Yeah, I think after all the rain they had yesterday, drivers were anticipating a little bit more
Velocity
grip as we see Alexander Rossi now, first car from inside the top 12 to dive into pit lane.
Only lap 10, so he must be feeling that degradation on the alternate tire. Surprised it was that early.
Let's watch the Arrow McLaren crew go to work. Dave Burns is there.
Lap 10 for the 10th place starter, and not a bad weekend pace-wise for Rossi, but wants to get off those alternates. He'll go primary now.
Alexander was sensational here last year. At one point he was a lap down, came back onto the lead lap and had a top 5 finish. So that's how gritty he is. He can be. Last year, this race was kind of in a similar way, and then once the yellow started happening, it kind of compounded. Meanwhile, Palou is on a charge. He's bridged the gap to Colton Herta for third.
And here comes Palou. Also, Palou's teammate Marcus Ericsson, if you saw, went past Alexander Rossi by pitting early and getting off the alternates on lap 7.
As Grosjean goes by Malukas now, easy pass. He on the primaries being Grosjean by Malukas on the alternates. Going back to your point, also Rinus VeeKay had got ahead of both of those drivers, both Marcus Ericsson and...
So, Diff, we are at the crossover right now. When Rossi ducked into the pits and Grosjean going by Malukas, now Kirkwood should have an advantage. Another driver on the primary tile, Kyle Kirkwood. Let's just ride and listen up. Another car just popped into the pits.
What you got to remember, though, that was the 45 of Christian Lundgaard. As he comes in now, we see one of the McLarens coming in as well. That's Felix Rosenqvist. Dylan.
They thought they might be able to go more like 20 laps, but Christian just came on the radio and said, these are awful. They said the rear tire temps do look high, so the alternate's already starting to go away.
Now, this is on the early side. All of these drivers, they're going to have to save a ton of fuel if they don't get any... Oh, big save from Kirkwood there. Auto Nation on board giving us a great shot there.
Hey, guys, haven't we seen this picture before? Kyle Kirkwood in pursuit of David Malukas on the streets of Nashville. This is what went down a year ago.
Oh, it was Kyle Kirkwood, rookie season, getting a little impatient here, trying to force it up the inside of Malukas. And that's what happens. 2 drivers into one group. Look at Kirkwood now, lower right-hand corner. He's got to run.
He's on that push-up pass. It seems like Malukas hasn't been using the overtake. I'm not sure if there's an issue there.
He's burned 27 seconds, has David Malukas, to Kirkwood's 23. Kirkwood by and away, and now on the hunt of his teammate, Romain Grosjean. Up front, though, McLaughlin still clicking off the laps. We think you got to get to about lap 18 as David Malukas bails out a little earlier than I might think. Kevin?
And everybody, right, is trying to get to 18, but I heard a lot saying if we can get to 14 or 15, we'd probably be satisfied, and the Malukas camp can't even come close to that. They had to bail here on lap 11. There hasn't been a lot of green flag running. No one knows what the tire wear is going to be like. So fresh Firestones and Shell fuel for David Malukas and Dale Coyne Racing with HMD.
Hey, we're at lap 12 and there's been no cautions. What's going on? This doesn't feel like Nashville.
Well, that's just it. You have very little tire data from practice, and already the race is unfolding in a way completely different to what we've seen the last 2 years as Malukas gets out just in front of that white and gold bit Nile car for Rinus VeeKay.
Before the moment gets away from us, I want to give credit to Stingray Rob. He made up a lot of positions off the start and a really positive opening stanza of this race. It is warm here in Nashville, Tennessee, 86 degrees, high humidity. It is a tough afternoon's work, but not if you're Scotty Mack and the Thirsty Threes out in front and in control. The day has come to a premature end for 21-year-old David Malukas in the Dale Coyne HMD Honda. What happened to this talented young man?
You can see the rear wing obviously no longer attached. It just failed, it looks like.
Well,
was there contact earlier that caused it?
We don't know. It looked like the uprights had collapsed on top of the carbon attenuator, which there's been some development on that attenuator recently, but you can see the tether to the rear wing did its job. That's that yellow rope-looking material on top of the rear wing.
Even David was looking at it saying,
Yeah.
what's at the back? Like, what went wrong?
I mean, heads up from him to see what had happened and just drive into the runoff, not try to take that corner. That could have ended very poorly for David Malukas. But, man, what a shame. He was having such a strong weekend, such a great start to the race. So let's take another look at it. Let's look up top. You see the black and white car with the red on the halo there.
Still there, still there. Still together. Does it just have
somewhere between those two cuts? that thing collapsed at the back. We don't know, like you said, James, if there was contact earlier, there was a big piece of carbon that just went flipping off there.
That's one of the pillars that holds it up. So that's, yeah, it just looks like a structural failure. I mean, we talk about how bumpy this racetrack is, these cars going through a tremendous amount of punishment and abuse, but that is, I don't think that's a failure I've ever seen before.
No. Highly unusual. Highly unusual. So under caution here in Nashville, Tennessee, for the first time, as the AMR safety team do their usual stellar job at rescuing David Malukas. So the field gets brought together.
And what you're going to see is everybody that hasn't pit come in, everybody that opted to dive early stay out. They've been counting on this yellow. Yeah. And what are the chances that the first yellow would come at Nashville lap 13 from a mechanical issue, not contact? Small miracle there.
But as you said at the top of the show, cautions breed cautions, and at Nashville, what was it?
They clone them.
Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen here, but we got to get through a first round of stops here. Top 13 drivers haven't pit so far. Everyone behind them has, so expect all 13 of them to come in.
So pits are open, ready for action, ready for a very busy pit lane, but not everybody is taking.
Wait, what?
Wow. Not everybody is taking. The championship leader is. He's all alone until now, and then there's several others, like Linus Lundqvist. As we go to the pits, here's Dave Burns.
And Pelot will take Firestone Tires primaries and Shell Fuel. They asked Pato Award, can you go 10 more laps? There's your answer. He stayed out.
We're all looking at each other in the booth right now going, what just happened? There's an opportunity to pit from the lead and stay in the lead for Scott McLaughlin, but he opted to stay out. What do they know that we don't? We'll find out.
Wow, there's an interesting twist here in the Music City. Back to racing here in Nashville after the first full course caution for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Scott McLaughlin heads the field, but he, along with Award, Grosjean, Kirkwood, Power, and Herter, have not yet pitted. Add Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, and a bunch of others, as Marcus Ericsson, one of those who has pitted, makes the move on his teammate Marcus Armstrong.
Great move up the inside of the rookie Armstrong in that green Ridgeline car. Now it's Devlin DeFrancesco trying to go by in that blue and yellow Woo Energy car.
He's had a great day so far.
Indeed. I'll tell you what, look at DeFrancesco now under pressure from Alexander Rossi. Rossi surprising the Woo driver up the inside. Lundgaard now on board.
Now, with some of the strategy calls we just saw in that caution, it's a bit of a mixed bag. This guy here, Christian Lundgaard, he had stopped before that yellow came out, so he is on fresher tires than a lot of the cars in front of him. Marcus Ericsson, another one of those who we just saw pull that move off on Marcus Armstrong. So it's a bit of an interesting mixed bag right now.
There are 10 who have not pitted.
Yeah, now we were wondering, why wouldn't you pit under caution if you think you're in range? Well, I think everybody decided, hey, maybe we're not in range, as Agustin Canapino muscles the rookie Lundqvist out of the way.
That was a rookie rumble right there. The Carries Country, Meyer Shank Honda, gets pushed out of the way. Let's show you the restart. It was pretty wild. Contact between O'Ward and McLaughlin. Herter in the black and yellow Gainbridge car. Here comes Grosjean up the inside. It was a mad scramble.
And then watch that black and yellow Gainbridge car. There goes Kyle Kirkwood, I believe. And now Colton Herta forced to the outside again. He loses 5-6 positions on this restart. Now he comes down to turn one. He's going to try to make up for it to the outside of Dixon, and he takes the overshoot as Colton Herta now comes in. This is what we didn't understand. Why not come in under that caution? Kevin, what can you tell us on strategy?
Well, this is not a strategy play. Colton Herta has concerns. Let's listen.
We might have some damage. I got thrown into every wall there.
Yeah, so pick 3.
And that was about 2 laps ago. Rob Edwards, who you just heard, said, can you go one more lap? He said, no, I've got to come now.
So a quick look at the car. Problems on the right rear. Doesn't look like any damage. No concern from the crew. Let's see what a fresh set of Firestones can do. He's now got the primaries on.
Everything looks straight.
There you go. There's the call from Rob Edwards. But man, that's a big blow for this team.
Reminiscent of Colton Herta earlier, Grant Rahal earlier, who said, hey, I can't even turn my car on the softer alternate tire.
Let me just throw this one at you. Herta was a lap down a year ago and came back for a top 5 finish. We'll see what happens today. This is where he said, I got hit for everybody, pushed into the wall, multiple contacts. Wait for Will Power to make his move. There goes his teammate Kyle Kirkwood. There's one point of contact. Here's Power, a little bit of hip and shoulder. There goes Newgarden. He just got swamped.
It just shows you the momentum that you can lose just from one car going by you. Multiple.
That's
there
it
you
right
go.
there. The right front had a huge hit into the concrete wall.
Yeah, you could argue that was a bit naughty from Scott Dixon because he just did not give him enough room. Colton was still there to deserve a car width and just forced into the concrete.
There's no rules here in Nashville. It's just it's a absolute fist fight, barroom brawl, whatever you prefer. Scotty D, he's pulled it off from the very back here before. Last year, 5 pit stops to get it done.
14th is where he started last year, found himself in victory lane, so it's not impossible. Here you go, Marcus Armstrong. He's the top rookie right now, running in 10th, and there's the rookie points, battling Augustine Canapino all season long for Rookie of the Year.
Dave, tell us more about the Kiwi.
Well, Lee, you saw him get swaddled up a little bit there on the restart. He was one of the 10 that did not pit. He was out there on tires that were older, and his car had severe understeer, so they've got to correct that when he first comes down pit road.
For those of you watching in New Zealand, you know that you have 3 Kiwi drivers, and for the first time ever, not only 3 New Zealanders, 3 Swedes as well, with Linus Lundqvist joining Felix Rosenqvist and Marcus Ericsson. To have 3 New Zealanders and 3 Swedish drivers, that's never happened in the history of IndyCar.
Tell you what's impressive is McLaughlin and O'Ward, the 2 drivers still on the alternates that they started on. They've figured out how to make the balance work. That's impressive for both Arrow McLaren and Team Penske. As you look out the back of O'Ward, Grosjean's the first car that hasn't stopped, but he started on the harder primary. That strategy makes sense.
So McLaughlin's still in control, but he's one of now 9 drivers yet to pit. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Shell Renewable Race Fuel, powering progress at 225 miles per hour. And by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Welcome back, folks. You're watching the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Lee Diffie, James Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell with you, along with Dave Burns, Kevin Lee and Dylan Welsh on a warm and humid afternoon here in the Music City. You're looking at Romain Grosjean in that red and yellow DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport. Guy who was in the mix here last year until one of the late race cautions. He came together with local hero and Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden. But at the moment, Grosjean is well and truly in the mix, running 3rd and running strong.
Yeah, and Pato O'Ward really seems to be struggling. 21 laps, as you see there, on the current tire. That alternate, that's a lot farther than anybody expected to go before this started. But up front, McLaughlin continues to put the pace down.
He does, but it's not quite enough when you think Alex Palou pit under that caution on lap 14. He's about 17.5 seconds behind the leader right now. A pit stop here in Nashville, about 23, 24 seconds. So if the Thirsty Threes pit now, he's still going to come out behind the 10. So I'm not sure if, again, this still has to play out down the road fuel-wise, but...
Yeah, McLaughlin needs to find pace to make it work. Dylan, what can you tell us about the AutoNation driver?
So staying out of the mess is part of the game here at Nashville. This was the exchange on the radio between Kyle Kirkwood and his strategist, Brian Herta.
Go, Ramon. I'm not going to pressure him if he tries to pass out of. That copy, just look out for those 2 knuckleheads ahead of you.
So they're really happy with their race car. Jeremy Millis, the engineer, said this is as fast as you need to go, even in clean track. Kirkwood's got a good race car.
Wow, massive lockup from Pato O'Ward, and that opened up the door for Romain Grosjean.
Pato's got a pit right now where he's going to fall like a lead sinker. Let's see if he peels off here.
No, they've already passed it. I was just going to say, I don't know why they didn't immediately pit that car. He is struggling so hard. Will Power likely to get a move done here as well.
Maybe just waiting for a yellow, I suppose. Either way, you're going to the back.
How about the response from Will Power? Scrambling in the pre-race lead-up, didn't have his earplugs, didn't have his head sock. There was a mad scramble. He was able to get back out, get to his original starting position, and he has settled down and regrouped really well to be running 5th. Right behind, and any moment he's going to be 4th.
And you can just see the advantage for Power on the harder tire is in the power down phase. Right here, all the corner exits. Look at how delayed Pato O'Ward is on the throttle pedal. Those rears are just fried. They just can't take the horsepower. It's going to be tough to defend here as they come up on the bridge heading for turn 9.
Power on the push to pass. You saw those blue lights come up on the dash. He's going to go driver's left. That's going to be the outside if they get to 9, but he's easily cleared the number 5.
All clear.
And here comes Rinus VeeKay.
He arrived fast on the scene. Another lock-up from O'Ward. He is just hanging on to that Arrow McLaren Chevy. He's got to pit this time. Floundering, just hanging on to it. Here's Newgarden now in the blue and white PPG Chevy. There goes O'Ward finally.
Yeah, at least a lap too late it looks like there, but we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe that extra fuel plays in later, but Newgarden doing a great job up in P6.
Dave Burns is standing by. Here he is, Davo.
Perhaps he could have gone further on his shell fuel, but he had to get those original Firestones off. Primary is going on. The balance was actually okay. He said he was losing it on both ends of the car, so the balance is there.
Balance is there, but the grip was not on those alternates. God, McLaughlin doing a great job, still running fairly competitive times, 23 laps on those alternates.
And I'll be looking for how many seconds Pato O'Ward now will come out behind Alex Palou.
Yeah.
Palou probably out there cruising, saving maybe a little bit of gas, but certainly saving tire. And Pato O'Ward comes out all the way at the back of this field. Only Colton Herta behind him.
Watch this, watch this.
Wow, lucky to keep this off the wall. Great job to release the brake pedal, but this allowed Grosjean, as we ride on board with Grosjean, watch the run he gets going down to turn 10.
Even though McLaughlin is dominating this race, can you imagine if this is the day that Grosjean gets his first IndyCar win? He would become the third new winner this year, first-time winner, and on street courses. Lundgaard and Kyle Kirkwood.
And you go back, Scott McLaughlin's first win was a street win. I think we've had 4 in a row first-time winners on street circuits. We would be 5 in a row if Grosjean was to get it done.
Speaking of the number 3 car of Scott McLaughlin, the pace has fallen quickly. 18.7, almost a second slower than 3 laps ago. Where's the gap to Alex Palou? Still at just 18 seconds. So if McLaughlin pits in the next lap or two, like I would expect him, it's going to be demoralizing to come out and say, why did we not pit under the yellow if Palou goes to the front?
Well, you say that. He's going to have a lot of fuel and a lot newer tires than Palou. This is the thing. He's running out in clean air up front. Palou is, the reason that gap keeps growing is Palou's just stuck. He's stuck in a train of cars. He cannot get the lap time.
It's coming back now, James. It was mid-18 seconds, now down to about 18.0.
Yeah, half a second to the advantage of Palou on that last lap. So the 3 stand has got to be thinking about coming in soon. They've made it the distance they need to. They can easily do it here on one more stop afterwards.
Grosjean's starting to close now on McLaughlin. Now down to just 2.1 seconds is that gap.
All right, how about if you walk further down the order, say in 11th place, Christian Lundgaard, who pitted on lap 10. How's he looking? McLaughlin is in. The 3 crew have made that decision. Here is the race leader. Kevin Lee standing by. He's coming your way, Kevo.
So they've done their job. They've made the alternates last long enough to be able to not worry too much about fuel save if it stays green the rest of the way. McLaughlin said, I need a little bit of help with the front. He's going to get fresh Firestones. He'll go to the primaries this time. Shell fuel as well. And then we'll see what kind of ground those that have already stopped have made up but have to do some fuel save.
Look at that traffic all whipping by. There goes Ryan Hunter-Ray. There's one of the Junco's Hollinger cars. He's going to be stuck in some serious traffic here.
This is the problem. Not only did you miss that pit under the yellow, even if you've got pace, not easy to get by all these cars in front of you.
Palou at the moment is about
15th.
Yeah, about 5 seconds up the road.
Jack Harvey behind him there. That custom entertainment machine.
There's Palou, the blue and white at the top of the screen, about 7 cars ahead of McLaughlin. Also stuck in traffic though, but he needs to get mileage by virtue of stopping a little bit on the earlier side.
Yeah, you can definitely save a bit more fuel driving in a train like that, but you are going to use up your tires, so the advantage is still fuel and tire-wise to, McLaughlin there, as we see Devlin DeFrancesco struggling a little bit now.
Palou should have an opportunity to make a move on the 29, that blue and yellow woo car.
Ric Flair is here. He's been having a wonderful weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. He goes Palou setting up. DeFrancesco inside. The Andretti Steinbrenner driver does it easily. There's Linus Lundqvist.
And you can tell when Palou popped out, he's thinking championship. He's like, does he know I'm there? Is he going to let me by? And good on Devlin DeFrancesco to keep it clean.
And Devlin's just hanging on. He has not pit yet, so he did start on those primaries, but he's taken them this far, 26 laps so far. Now Lundqvist looking to set up this pass. You see some damage maybe on the left front wing there of Devlin.
All the while, the red and white car, Scott McLaughlin, is looking at this 2 wide mess, 2 rows deep, and he's going, oh man, how am I going to get by these four?
Ryan Hunter-Reay trying to get by the pay.com. Augustine Canapino, the rookie, another rookie ahead of him in Linus Lundqvist filling in for Simon Pagenaud. Meanwhile, Grosjean up front leading. First time he's led a race since Barber. You ride on board the Verizon Chevy of Will Power, who was running inside the top 5. Power has just pitted as you're on lap 29 of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville, and Kyle Kirkwood in the Auto Nation. Andretti Autosport Honda is in, and Dylan Welch is there.
He stayed out a lap later than Romain Grosjean just to try and get some clean air. So they're happy with the race car. They'll probably need some yellow, though, a little bit later on here as they switch to alternates.
And you saw he had to hold a little bit for this string of cars coming in. Newgarden in the blue and white. You see Dixon in the blue and orange there. They had to hold Kyle Kirkwood, so a couple seconds lost on pit lane for the Andretti Autosport driver. That's going to make him suffer a bit on this outlap.
All right, so there's VK, and he is stuck in the middle of Scott Dixon and Joseph Newgarden as they rejoin the racing surface, and Dixon and Power are quite close on track there. Watch this.
Oh yeah, you've got Will Power on hot tires trying to make moves.
And guys, this has kind of worked out for Rinus VeeKay. He's now in front of Scott Dixon, having done a second stop now, so he's basically on par. He's moved up a ton.
He had a great race here last year until an unforced error right here at this corner where he ran into the back of Graham Rahal. So, VeeKay loves this track. It suits his style.
For sure. Will Power hot before the start of this race, trying to scramble and find his driving gear. Now he's got to be a little frustrated as he needs to find some clean air to get the pace. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon with a really nice run on Rinus VeeKay further up the road. Watch the two go side by side.
Oh, whoa, almost a touch there at over 170 miles an hour. Dixon, as we said earlier, in his 318th consecutive start. This run goes back almost 20 years when he was just 24 years old. It is extraordinary.
Just unbelievable what he's doing, able to take advantage of those new green sidewalled alternate tires to get around Rinus VeeKay there. But yeah, I mean, he is an incredible driver, an incredible athlete, one of the fittest guys in the field. It's no surprise that even at 42 years of age, 6 championships, he's still up there running consistently, 3rd in the championship. Just remarkable. Now he's lining up Stingray Robb here, who has not pitted since lap 11.
There's VeeKay in the Bitnall car that you see just ahead of Will Power in the all-red machine. Behind Will Power, pick up Pato Award, Christian Lundgaard, who stopped again in the Hy-Vee Honda. There he is in the all-black machine, ahead of the yellow and black Cambridge Honda, or the all-green machine is Marcus Armstrong. And then tucked in behind Armstrong is Felix Rosenqvist. Armstrong's working a move on Herta here. Here we go.
To the outside, the preferred line for the brake zone for grip, but Colton Herta has position and he takes advantage of it. So more grip on the outside where Armstrong was, but Colton Herta, if he can get his car in the way of Armstrong in the apex wall like he did, that's how you make the move.
Herta's been out there a long while. He pitted on lap 17. You remember the contact with multiple cars, most notably Scott Dixon, and he said, you know, I've been hitting everything, I have to come in. And Award tucks through on the inside of Stingray Robb to try and stay with Will Power.
Meanwhile, upper left-hand corner, you see Alex Palou now up to 3rd, pitted on lap 14. Ericsson and Rossi, if it stays green, almost certainly would have to pit 2 more times to make it on the end. Palou probably can make it on just 1 if he's saving enough fuel right now. Look at this! Kirkwood, sideways! Castroneves.
That was a save.
Huge save.
Oh, my goodness. How about the dancing man? That took some fancy footwork to save that, and his hands as well.
Boy, he's had a lot that got away from him this season, but he managed to hang on right there. That was a veteran set of moves with your hands and feet.
It's so tough down into turn 4 there because it is downhill, it is bumpy, as we see now. Marcus Armstrong trying to line up Kirkwood.
Same situation as last time. Colton Herta now backs off.
Clear.
2 of the young stars of the NTT IndyCar Series there, and that was relatively straightforward for Marcus Armstrong. He's coming off his best career result of 7th, also on a street course. That was in Toronto, Canada.
Stingray Rob peeling off into the pits there. That lets Marcus Armstrong get some free air. He can now try to close that gap down to the cars in front. Christian Lundgaard's the next in line for him.
That pink car that just flashed through shot there, that is the AutoNation Honda of Kyle Kirkwood, who won his maiden IndyCar career race on the streets of Long Beach earlier this year. He is in great shape. Pitted lap 29, sits fourth behind championship leader Alex Palou, and he is in very strong. Let's go for a ride with thanks to AutoNation. Have a listen. Here's the leader. Marcus Armstrong comes in slightly off sequence from the others like Palou and Kirkwood. Pardon me, Ericsson, I should say, and Rossi.
Yeah, this has really worked out well for Kirkwood. You're right. Dave Burns is down there in the number 8 pit.
So Ericsson's had a braking problem all weekend long. I talked to engineer Brad Goldberg. He said we changed the entire system before qualifying. That fixed the problem. And so far today, it's been great.
Here we go, serviced and sent. The way that this race is unfolding, the machinations of this is pretty interesting on pit stop rotation and the various strategy that's out there. Look at this scrap going on as the pitnile.com Chevy squeezes its way through. That's Rinus VK.
Yeah, Rossi on cold tires just getting up to speed. He will not have wanted to have lost that position.
I'll tell you what, if Alex Palou and Linus Lundqvist can save a bit of fuel, they could make it on one more stop for Lundqvist. He's never practiced it before right now.
And he runs third in his first IndyCar race. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, 24 brands, thousands of hotels. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Well, at this stage of the race a year ago, we had 4 full course cautions. So there's only been 2 today, but one of them was a waved off start. There's only really been 1 full course caution. So we get on board the Dex Imaging Chevy of Scott McLaughlin as he continues his pursuit. He led 24 laps early on. It was a different strategy call made. It's put him a little further back than where he would like to be. And there is one driver out of this race. Unfortunately, it's David Malukas. Let's hear from him now.
And it ended a really good weekend. First Firestone Fast 6 of the season. But what happened? It looked like there was nothing you could do.
Yeah, we're still looking into it. I don't know if it was the rear wing that failed or if it was something internally that caused a lot of heat, because we didn't just lose the rear wing going into turn 9. I lost the gearbox. I couldn't shift, couldn't do anything. And I mean, yeah, I just came in and there was a massive fire. Yeah, I mean, as you can see there, as soon as I hit the brake, just lost everything. I couldn't downshift. So, yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate. I think we had a good strategy going and we had some pace, but yeah, it's nothing we can do there.
Thank you, David.
What a shame, because he ran well here last year until a late crash, and he was running awesome today in the top 5. Fabulous qualifying from the young man from Chicago. Here's the championship leader, the 10, the blue car, flashing through. Then Kyle Kirkwood, Romain Grosjean. This can be anybody's today. There's a variety of strategy. Who's got the magic? Meanwhile, right now, as they run with a long way to go, we're not even halfway there, this man has extended his championship points lead back out over 100 points.
Yeah, triple digits with 4 to go would pretty much be a death blow for the championship, but it's just so impressive how week after week this team is able to put their driver in a position to win a race.
What about the Carries Country Honda for Linus Lundqvist, the 24-year-old Swedish driver? Until Friday, he'd only tested an IndyCar 3 times, 3 different times. Never been part of an official IndyCar weekend. He's filling in for the legend Simon Pagenaud, champion and Indy 500 winner. And yesterday after qualifying, he said it feels good to do this for Simon. He knows where he's at. He knows his fortunate position, but he's making the most of it.
But one thing that he doesn't have that my eagle-eyed friends back in Pacific South Palisades just pointed out, there's no air scoop on his car hinge. This guy does not have the scoop here. You look on board the Hugo Hollinger car there. That is Callum Ilott. Every car should and is supposed to have the air intake scoop. The reason for that, Dave, of course, is driver comfort.
How do you put the rookie out there with no fresh airflow when it's almost 90 degrees with 70% humidity?
Wow, Townsend asking him to do a lot. Pit stops for the first time. The first one went well. Fuel saving. He's having to do it now. They told him, please stay off the button. I did ask Mike Shank, if he saved you fuel, could you make it on one more? He shook his head. He said, no, we would need caution. So keeping it on track, keeping it off the barriers. Don't know about the scoop. We'll ask about that. Hurt is on pit road.
And the Gainbridge Honda is released for the second time in this race.
The rest of the day, see what happens. Okay.
Just going back to that scoop on the 60.
It's mandatory,
It's not
right?
a choice. Yeah, that's a mandatory.
Is there a chance it fell off?
There is a chance, but again, with how bumpy this track is, potentially that could have happened.
We understand that we've gone back and looked earlier on, and it supposedly has fallen off. So can't really penalize somebody if it fell off, but talk about physical penalty.
I was just going to say.
That is brutal. Absolutely brutal. I talked to Leland Lundqvist about this exact issue this morning. He said, when I first tested an IndyCar with Andretti, I was completely gassed. I told myself that will never happen again. I will make sure I'm as physically fit as anybody in the field.
Well, he looks like the captain of the Swedish wrestling team, so he's tough enough. But he doesn't have the laps in an IndyCar in these conditions. This is the biggest test of this young man's racing life.
We call it race fit, Lee. I mean, you can train in a gym all you want, but there's nothing like laps and reps on the racetrack. The longest race that he's ever done, as we see the replay of it falling off here over some of the bumps on the bridge.
Now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah, so again, he would have instantly felt the difference in the airflow.
Still there.
It comes off eventually. But you got to think, running Indy Lights, the races are about 45 minutes long. Here, it's going to be double that in a more physical car. And now, without the airflow of the scoop, this is a huge physical test for a young driver.
Absolutely. What a job he's done, though. You see McLaughlin up to third, and McLaughlin is pressing really well now. He's got fuel to burn, I think, on this strategy, so it's 10/10 for Scotty Mack. Meanwhile, Palou probably has to nurse his car a bit at this phase in the race.
And the other thing about Linus, he pit on the same lap as Alex Palou. He's only 4 seconds behind on the same strategy.
Very impressive.
Second car on that strategy, and that's a championship dominating leader with one of the best cars in the grid.
I asked him this morning also, I said, how do you save fuel if you've never done it before? He said, well, we're about to find out, because warm-up got canceled yesterday with the weather. Qualifying went in the place of the usual 30-minute warm-up, which is exactly where a rookie would get a chance to practice fuel save.
There's been a lot of weather impacting the schedule this weekend. Hey, let's take a look at our pit stop window predictor, powered by NTT.
So here you go. There's going to be a variety of options here given the way the strategies have played out. You see that window for Palou. He's going to want to take it all the way to the end of that window, because you could. It's tough, but you could technically do it on just one more stop with some big save. Kirkwood, a much bigger window, just like his teammate behind Grosjean. So this man right here may be the best place on track, Alex Palou, but he might be in the worst place on fuel.
T-Bell for all of the engineers and strategists. They calculated, they basically banked on yellow, because from the previous 2 years combined, there were 17 cautions in these two races the last 2 years. Today, really only one legitimate caution, and that is highly unusual so far.
I'd like to see Alex Palou, if I'm Barry Wanzer on his stand, get to lap 48 for that last stop. We'll find out when we come back to the Music City Grand Prix.
Hey, grab your mobile device and scan the QR code that you see on the right there, because you have a chance to drive away with a new Corvette, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Gatorade. All season long, we've been telling you about this to have a chance to win one of 4 Corvettes, and already 3 of them have been given away. So scan that QR code and good luck. As we welcome you back to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville. It is hot, hard work. We're into the second half of this race, and an interesting story unfolding. Here they come, the challengers on the championship leader, Alex Palou. He last stopped on lap 14. For the nearest chaser, Kyle Kirkwood, he stopped on lap 29. So there's a big disparity between those two strategies at play here.
Look at how stingy Palou's been on the push-to-pass button. That's the discipline. That's the precision of the professor of precision. Look at how he's getting that done. That's amazing.
But look who's at the tail of this train, guys. That red and white car of your pole sitter, Scott McLaughlin. He's got a ton of push to pass. He's got fuel to burn, Kev, and he is caught up to this lead pack.
And he is trying to move his way forward. Let's listen into what the conversation is on the Thirsty 3 Penske radio.
Done really, really good here. He's
going in on this, so.
Yeah, no, what you're doing is perfect here. You get a run of one of those guys with Kirkwood's tire strut to go off. That's great. Go ahead and take it. We're right on pace for what we want right now.
And Scott has also been reminded that Grosjean still has to run the alternates, and he might be able to cross over towards the end of the stint on Kirkwood. We don't think Palou can make it, so McLaughlin can still win.
Hey, remember at the beginning of the season, we said McLaughlin and Grosjean a lot on the streets of St. Petersburg, and it ended with an unbelievable coming together and both of them going into the tire barrier.
Yeah.
So they're used to being on track on a street course.
So what Palou needs is to make about 1 or 2 more laps here and McLaughlin to be held up, because then Palou can probably make it to the end. But
here we go, here we go.
The mileage. Here comes McLaughlin.
Look at this, side by side with Romain Grosjean at 170 plus miles an hour into the braking zone. Grosjean hangs tough.
No, monsieur. Not right now. Grosjean holding him off. Kirkwood still ahead, but his tires are coming apart.
Fermé Laporte there from Romain Grosjean on Scott McLaughlin.
That's where my French starts and stops.
Hey, Dave Burns, the difference with Grosjean this weekend might be that enormous mustache that he's boasting.
Well, and he said, I get to shave it off if I win. I have to leave it on if I don't. He has a bet going with his systems engineer, Will. But he will need to get to lap 57. That's what they want him to do. Remember, he's gone primary to Kevin's point, and then he puts on those alternates toward the end. 23 laps, Dylan. He'll try to make them last and win.
And Kyle Kirkwood running his first stint on the alternate tires. Brian Herta, his strategist, said, I need you to save fuel and your tires here so we have a little bit left at this stint, and then hopefully that'll make us have a shorter fill at the end of the race on the final stop as well. But for Palou, if Kirkwood is saving fuel and backing everybody up behind him, that's what Palou needs to try and hold on to the lead, or at least have a good blend when he comes back out of pit road.
For all of you watching in Jupiter, Florida, the guy in the pink car, he's your man, Kyle Kirkwood. The Long Beach Grand Prix winner has been in unbelievable form this weekend, and he could get another win on the streets here of the Music City.
And Kyle Kirkwood is likely saving fuel because he doesn't have the tire to use to burn all of that Honda horsepower, because right now Kirkwood has about 15 laps on the softer alternate tire, and he's well past that crossover point. Situation perfect right now for Palou, except McLaughlin. There comes Palou, a little earlier, I think, than they wanted to. Dave, he's coming to you.
Townsend, they said he wouldn't tell him until turn 9, and that was the case when he got the call to pit. And you see them now putting on another set of primaries with the red rims and just waiting on the Shell fuel, and now he leaves.
Yeah, that was a full fill. They were waiting on the fuel there because they had to get all 18.5 gallons of fuel in. Devlin DiFrancesco on turn 9.
Huge.
You hear that sort of high screech when you get in reverse, that almost falsetto out of the gearbox.
I said huge if it goes yellow. It did not. Could have been big for Palou right there.
Could have been a huge swing for Palou.
Unbelievable opening stint from Devlin DiFrancesco. Unfortunately, his day is going in the wrong direction.
But this is Nashville, James, and the yellow seemingly around just about every corner. And look at the marbles that have accumulated on the bridge. It is insane. This is like an Oreo factory out there.
Well, you got to remember, guys, this is more green flag laps than we've run in either of the other races. So they're not even sure what the marbling can be like around this racetrack.
Some of them are saying, shouldn't we have a caution by now? Another one, please. We're just over the halfway mark of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville. Kyle Kirkwood leads the way in his AutoNation Andretti Autosport Honda. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. This is banking a Fifth Third better. What a day, what a weekend here in Nashville. Always great to come back here. It's such a great atmosphere all around town, and then the race starts, and we are in the second half of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. You're looking at Romain Grosjean, looking in his rearview mirrors to see the pole man, Team Penske's Scott McLaughlin. Here comes Scotty Mac. He's had several lunges at Grosjean, but the Frenchman has hung tough. Whoa, he gets out of shape. Opens it up for McLaughlin. There's an inside opportunity for the Dex Imaging Chevy, and he gets him.
That's the kind of patience that Kyle Moyer was looking for from his driver, Scott McLaughlin.
You can hear the wheel spin for Romain Grosjean coming out at turn 10 there.
Those
tires are gone, he says it.
But they want to keep Grosjean out for as long as possible because he has to run alternates on his final stint. That'll be 29 laps in 88-degree heat. Nobody's done that today.
This is the Nashville hero, an Indy 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden, who swept the weekend in Iowa. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon is in.
And this kind of tells us something about what Romain Grosjean is going to do, because Dixon's tires were gone about 19 laps and his alternate run. Will Power has also been complaining about making him last 2.
Joseph Newgarden, though, on the bottom of your screen, he's hanging on pretty well with those alternates. Same strategy as Kyle Kirkwood, same tires. Pit at the last pit was at the same lap, so it's looking pretty handy for the hometown guy right now.
Sure is. It sure is. And remember, he is in pursuit of Alex Palou. Points as they run, 66 the difference.
I've been watching that gap. Look down to 13th position. Alex Palou was able to close some of the gap to McLaughlin. As this side-by-side action, Rossi, VK, elbows out.
Big lockup. That could have been ugly, and Will Power says, thanks, I'll take 2 positions off you.
Yeah, that was probably going to be looked at by race control, as now his teammate Pato O'Ward trying to make a move.
If that's a full course caution for VK, we'll have to see if he continues.
And a bunch of drivers think it might just be the case. There you go. That is Pato O'Ward and Christian Lundgaard in the pits.
I think McLaughlin's on pit lane too, so big exhale for those guys to get in before being caught out. Dave.
Quick reaction. Here's his Newgarden is in, Dave.
O'Ward is in as well. O'Ward wanted more front wing. Kevin.
There's Joseph Newgarden coming in, got the quick call. They were trying to get Scott McLaughlin in, but they did not. He's still on track.
Danger zone for Scotty Mack.
VK's in the background.
So that means no full course yellow. On board with McLaughlin. That was nervous moments for the Dex Imaging team.
But they didn't blink. They kept it on track. That's going to help their strategy.
Look at the gap. 23 seconds to Palou. It'll be close once McLaughlin pits.
But he'll have such a big
It's
tire.
going to be yellow, but there is not.
Such a big tire and fuel advantage when he comes out over Palou. I think it's looking very good right now for the Penske group. 2 different strategies, but they're both playing out well, with Kyle Kirkwood right here in your pink and white car, right in the mix.
Let's not forget him. Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood running so strong at the front. And Grosjean hanging tough. He gave the, here we go. Race leader is in, the Auto Nation on board. Kirkwood is coming in. Dylan, he's headed your way.
And I think Brian Herta wanted him to stay out a couple more laps. Kyle said these tires are gone, and Brian was asking him to make the in-cockpit adjustments. They'll get off the alternates, go to the primaries. The lack of cautions has worked well for them today. We'll just see where they blend out here.
Well, it's going to be good to see where eventually, when McLaughlin comes back in, where he is versus Kirkwood versus Will Power and Grosjean, whenever Grosjean decides to pit, because that's going to be sooner rather than later.
Hey, look at this. Look at this. Kyle Kirkwood, and there is the blue and white of Alex Palou. The 10 is on hot tires as Kirkwood comes out of the pits.
That's a nice little gap, too, Townsend, especially with how much fuel the 10's got to save. I don't think he's really going to have anything to fight the 27.
While we have time, let's give more credit again to Linus Lundqvist. Look at the pink car in the background. The Carries Country Sirius XM car for Meyer Shank Racing. Linus Lundqvist, last year's Indy Next champion in his first ever IndyCar race, is shadowing the championship leader.
And that's because they're telling Linus Lundqvist, look, Palou is trying to stretch it on fuel. You're going to have to stop one more time, so we're going to just turn you up, kid, full ridge, show us what you got, go racing.
This is the stuff of dreams. He was wondering when his chance in IndyCar would come.
Michael, over that, you said push it past.
All right, the race is on at the front. Here is McLaughlin in, and we're going to keep a watchful eye on where Kyle Kirkwood is. The race at the front is on, and the pressure is on the thirsty threes. Let's see how they deliver, Kev.
And he's in the second pit stall, and Will Power in front was about to pit, but Team Penske just moved the tires back to help out the launch. McLaughlin with one more lap. It was all on that in lap to make up the difference. Let's watch the race in the blend.
Oh, look at Palou. Palou's down into turn 1. Where's Scotty Mack?
He comes out behind Kirkwood. Kirkwood's still in front. So McLaughlin in between Palou and Kyle Kirkwood. Kirkwood has the advantage.
He's already done it once on the streets of Long Beach. Kirkwood looking really good. It's going to be Penske versus Andretti versus Ganassi down the stretch.
And Kirkwood had a brilliant race in Detroit. He made a mistake in qualifying, thought he had a car for pole, then got caught in a first lap incident, put him all the way to the back, drove his way through the field for a strong finish. So Kyle definitely feeling at home on the street.
And then you've got a rookie in Lundqvist that wants to mix it up with the big dogs. How about that?
He is not afraid of who he is surrounded by. Let's ride with him.
Box, box, box. Pit this lap. Pit, pit, pit.
That's okay. He's had his time in the sun and done a great job. Here's Romain Grosjean. Dave, he's headed your way.
They asked him what he wanted for front wing. We will see if they go to that for him. He will get the alternate tires for Grosjean. They will go on. They're going to ask him to do what? 26, 27 laps to the end. That's asking a lot.
Power is in. Castro Neves is in. Let's see where Grosjean blends back in relation to Palou, his teammate Kirkwood, and Scott McLaughlin.
Will Power's not out of the mix for a good result. He goes a little bit longer, so maybe a little less time getting fuel, and no fuel save for him. He's out.
Grosjean's a lot further back than where he would like to be. Look at the traffic he's come out in.
Alexander Rossi just out of the pits. You see Ericsson go by Award, Grosjean. Now it looks like Jack Harvey going along, who's also having a great run right now up in P9.
Jack had a terrific run here last year as well. His teammate is on the inside. Christian Lundgaard in the Hy-Vee Honda makes the move on Harvey.
Tell you what, that yellow and red car, Romain Grosjean, will be fun to watch for a couple laps just because he's got the alternates when they're fresh. And when they're fresh, they are max grip. He's going to have to balance aggression with protecting the tires to go 28 laps to the end.
And he's a little deficient on push to pass, just 45 seconds left in his bank. Alex Palou has a ton. Alex Palou has 118 seconds left. You look at Will Power make a move, but it's Florida's own Kyle Kirkwood who leads the way here in the Music City. You're riding on board the AutoNation Honda from Andretti Autosport. This is Kyle Kirkwood. The 24-year-old American leads the way by 2.5 seconds over Team Penske's Scott McLaughlin. That's how it is at the front with 25 laps to go. Here's Dave Burns.
Lee, we recently saw a disagreement over space on track between Rinus VeeKay and this driver, Alexander Rossi. It ended up with smoking tires and a near collision. There's Rossi on the left-hand side. On the right is VeeKay as they go in and out of frame. There was contact right here, and for that, boom, VeeKay got a drive-through penalty for the contact. As for Rossi, bent left rear toe link. They repaired that and sent him back on his way, but he's now 2 laps down.
What do you make of that, Hinch? In soccer, shoulder-to-shoulder contact is generally okay.
Yeah, I mean, Rinus also kind of paid a price by having to go off into the runoff, so I definitely put more fault on Rinus there, but I'm not sure if it's penalty worthy.
I mean, you're going through a bend right there. It's impossible when a driver is exactly next to you for either driver to know exactly where the other is positioned, so there's a lot of trust going on there, but race control clearly seen it as VeeKay's fault.
If you've got a watchful eye, you'll note that the lead has come down from 2.5 to 1.7 seconds. McLaughlin is on the move, reeling in Kyle Kirkwood. It might only be by tenths of a second, but everything counts. His championship leader, Alex Palou, in the American Legion machine. Let's go for a ride with race leader as we have a look at the pit stop differential powered by NTT.
Okay. Yeah, copy that.
You just take a look here. Kyle Kirkwood against Romain Grosjean. Kirkwood 2 seconds less in the box and 1.5 seconds to the good on the pit out lap. What does that equate to? The difference between 1st and 7th, where Romain Grosjean finds himself right now.
Yeah, it can just be such a huge thing with these green flag cycles. The way we've seen them, we've seen, you know, drivers come out in a mix of cars. That can just cost you so much time on your out lap, but a huge advantage through that pit cycle to Kyle Kirkwood. Excuse me, Dylan, but it might not be as pretty as we think running up front.
Well, no, so I want to get your thoughts on this. First of all, this has been a Brian Herta strategy masterpiece here. I mean, he has done all the right calls, and Kyle said that at the start of this race that's kind of what they needed to do. They needed to just put it all together. They've had the speed all weekend, and they've done it so far. But you heard that fuel number, fuel 87, so they are in fuel save mode. But my question is, was that maybe an intentional short fill just to guarantee that they got out ahead of some of the cars they were racing? But they've been confident that they can save and still hold on to the lead. So was that maybe on purpose to short fill?
I mean, it certainly could be. There's definite advantage to having that track position. We've seen that when a car's quick, it's tough to get by them, even if they are saving a bit of fuel. So I would definitely rather have the point and a couple extra % of fuel save required.
So there's a couple of things going on here. McLaughlin continues to eat into the lead of Kirkwood, and then Alex Palou has a, well, not quite, 3.5-second advantage over the guy who's chasing him in the championship. Newgarden needs to at least finish ahead of Palou to minimize that championship lead again, Dave Burns. But how is Alex going to defend?
Well, remember how well he defended at Iowa, finished 8th and 3rd, so kept the points right where he wanted them. Here's his recent radio transmission from the team.
We're currently P3. I know this could get frustrating. Just hang in there. We have no other options except ride this out. Hopefully we'll get a yellow.
And they also talked to him earlier and said, we are going to pray for a yellow. That's really our only shot right here. So they need caution laps for the 10 car.
Look, it's such an absence of cautions. By the way, I need to remind you that American Legion has a history of solving the biggest problems facing veterans. Today, that is mental health, and specifically suicide. Let's change the narrative. Be the one is their slogan. Be the one to save one veteran. Make it okay for our bravest men and women to ask for help, and you can learn more at www.betheone.org. There were 9 cautions in the first year here. Last year, 8. There's really only been 1 today, and they're looking for another one to get some help. What a sight that is. The ever-developing Nashville, Tennessee. This city just continues to grow. Every year we come back, there's more new buildings, and there's just such a great vibe downtown. Awesome. The Music City has turned it on yet again for the NTT IndyCar Series. I want to remind you that the series drivers and their teams will again compete for more than $1 million in the People Ready Force for Good Challenge by being the first driver to win a series of races on all 3 different types of circuits. So, as you know, oval, street race like today, and the road course. Joseph Newgarden did it last year, won the $1 million very quickly. And here, as you see on your screen, the current season standings. Here's the man, the local hero who won last year, did it in very swift succession. He won 5 races last year, actually, but did not win the championship. That was a source of frustration. He got his biggest win earlier this year on Memorial Day weekend by finally winning the Indianapolis 500 at I think his 12th or 13th attempt. So finally, he could breathe a sigh of relief. Now, earlier this week, it was declared officially Joseph Newgarden Day on the 31st of July, in conjunction with all of his career achievements and what he's done for Nashville, the state of Tennessee. Everybody is so proud of him here, and with more on Joseph, let's head to the pits. Here's Kevin.
And they're still thinking about a podium. It is within reach. So you heard the Alex Palou plan. They really need a caution. They really want it to stay green for Joseph Newgarden. He's saving fuel, but that's their best plan because they know if it stays green, Palou is unlikely to make it, Dave.
2 cars back is Marcus Ericsson to win the $1 million. He'll need to win next week at the road course and then at the oval at Gateway, since he's already wrapped up the first street course of the year. That was St. Pete, so he thought we would be good here this afternoon. The one concern for engineering, they thought that the tire that was primary fell off a little bit harder than they expected, so they're asking it to go 29 laps to the end. And Lee, this driver, who at first was rumored to, there's no way he's going back to Ganassi. Lately it's been, oh no, there's a window. He might even stay.
That would be good. That would be good. He's found his happy home at Ganassi as far as, you know, finding his slot in the NTT IndyCar Series, and didn't reach any loftier heights than last year when Marcus Ericsson won the Indianapolis 500. Almost backed it up this May by finishing second to Joseph Newgarden. His results have been incredible. He's got quite the story here in Nashville as we go on board, the Auto Nation on board with Romain Grosjean. Let's have a look at some Firestone telemetry. 165, 172, 345. Got up to 177 miles an hour.
And I'll be listening to Throttle Down right here through this section in the next corner. Let's just listen for a few. How well is Romain Grosjean dealing with the softer tire? Looking pretty sticky. That's the benefit of putting those on later in the race, is all the rubber gets laid down. About 10 laps on the alternate tire for Grosjean so far. We'll have to check back in about another 10. It should be much more difficult at that point.
I'm intrigued to see how it shakes out for the final step of the podium. Palou versus Newgarden, the top two in the championship, as Grosjean gets really close to the back of Marcus Ericsson. Palou's got way more push to pass seconds left than Newgarden, but Newgarden's 5 laps better on fuel, so we'll see.
He's got push to pass, but he can't use it. He can't afford to burn the fuel. No, he really can't. So the gap's been sort of consistent between those two drivers at around 4 and a bit seconds. So Palou's doing an incredible job with the fuel save that he's been having to maintain. But if Joseph gets within fighting distance, it's going to be hard to keep him behind.
And speaking of fuel save, as we watch this battle, Kyle Kirkwood, we know, has to get some mileage. Let's listen to the coast phase. Here's turn 1, turn 2, short shoot here. No fuel saving really on offer until you get to the bridge. It's the backside of the bridge where we'll listen. How early does he come off the throttle? Let's just ride. Decent amount. Not crazy, but it's decent.
It's decent size for the lap that he pit on. And that's how drivers are saving fuel. They save it with their right foot at the end of those long straightaways rather than keeping it flat out, letting the engine just guzzle that fuel. You lift off, you coast through the last second or two of the straightaway before getting on the brakes. You do that at the end of all the long straights.
Looking there, James, at last pit lap, Will Power, the best of the top 10, meaning he can burn the most fuel. And in some of the long shots, that number 12 Verizon's getting a little bigger on the screen. As here's Pato O'Ward in front of Will Power, and Will Power looks to have a really good shot here as they come to the bridge.
Grosjean's on the same strategy there on lap 53, and he's got the alternates. So it'll be an advantage now, but like you say, that crossover period is going to come before the end of this race.
I got to think it'll be miserable the last 10 laps for Romain Grosjean to hang on.
16 laps to go here in the heat and humidity of Nashville, Tennessee. Kyle Kirkwood still boasts a 2+ second lead over Scotty Mack. Scott McLaughlin of Team Penske. Is that going to change over the closing laps? Can Joseph Newgarden do anything about this man here? Alex Palou, the championship leader. And how about the defending race winner, Scott Dixon? Let's talk more about him.
So you know he knows how to save fuel. I'm hearing on the Joseph Newgarden radio right ahead of him, we need a little bigger lift, and he pitted a lap later than Scott Dixon, but I'm not hearing a lot of panic on the number 9 PNC Bank. You know he's better than anybody at being able to make it to the end. Also notable, 318 straight starts, tying the Ironman Tony Kanaan. So he's going to surpass that at Indianapolis next week on the road course doubleheader weekend with NASCAR.
And his former teammate here in IndyCar, 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champ Jimmy Johnson. We want to send our congratulations to Jimmy, to Chad Knaus, Donnie Allison and Janet Guthrie. They are headed to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Well done, JJ. In the home stretch, 13 to go in the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville, Tennessee. Who is going to get it done? Will it be Kyle Kirkwood for Andretti Autosport, who now has a 2.8 second lead over the pole sitter Scott McLaughlin? He is hanging tough in the heat.
And now the questions start to surface. You thought you were promised calamity circus here at Nashville.
Yeah, what happened?
It has not happened. So now the question is, what you got? What you got for tires? What you got for fuel? What you got for talent to make the moves with 12 to go?
Hey, what you cooking?
Hey.
Here's Palou, who now has an 84-point championship lead. Dave Burns, by the way. Newgarden's got to get ahead of him to keep this thing alive.
Listen to recent radio, and there's one more after that.
All right, Alex. Get 4.2 and do not use the clutch for fuel saving. Do not use the clutch for fuel saving.
Yeah, but I don't think I can get 4.2, man.
Alex, lift and coast. Lift and coast will get better mileage than clutching.
And then the team reevaluating just radioed to him, go as hard as you can, go as hard as you can. We will just try to minimize the damage when we stop. They're going to have to pit.
Oh, they're bailing. They're bailing out. I can't believe, is Alex Palou using the clutch at speed? That's a new thing. That's normally a caution maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, normally if you're pulling the clutch in, you're just trying to kill the RPM, save the fuel, but as he says, you do it by lifted coast, like we were explaining earlier.
Either way, it sounds like it's all bail out at this point. Just go for it. We'll have to splash unless they get super lucky with a yellow here shortly.
In the Music City, that's music to the ears of local lad Joseph Newgarden. As far as his championship hopes, with just 4 rounds remaining at the conclusion of today.
But Newgarden's got to find some pace. I'm a little surprised. He just did a 19.4 with clean air in front of him, and Newgarden's just not closing.
A little bit more everywhere. A little bit more in 4. A little bit more everywhere.
And that's why Tim Cindric telling him, you've got to save fuel too.
Guys, I'm just looking at the numbers. I think that if Palou has to pit in the next lap or so, I mean, he should be able to push a little bit further, but I mean, he's going to be coming out in the 15th, 16th range. That is going to be very tough. Huge championship implications with Newgarden running them in what would be a podium position.
This has got shades, and I know it's in the latter half of the race, but this has got shades of Long Beach, not only because it's a street race, but this guy here, who's not short on self-confidence, Kyle Kirkwood said, I don't want it to sound the wrong way, but Long Beach, that victory was one of the easiest races I've had. And now it's in that same vein, in a similar vein, because he's in control, he's managing that lead. Big box is what he did back in California earlier in the year, won the NTTP1 award, and converted that pole to a relatively straightforward and comfortable victory. He loved it. Hence, you've won at Long Beach. You know how special it is. This was a magical moment for this guy who came up through the road to Indy. So much hype. His rookie year wasn't fantastic. This was the biggest moment of his racing life.
Yeah, I mean, after Indy, this is the race all the drivers want to win. Second longest running race, second most prestigious. So to get your first one there for Kyle Kirkwood was just phenomenal. And to his point, oh no, we have trouble. Linus Lundqvist down in turn 11, I believe.
Here is the yellow everybody was waiting for. Unfortunately, this is really the only error this kid has made this weekend.
And look at the marbles on his left front, which tells me maybe he got pushed wide onto a really dirty racetrack.
I'm so sorry, guys.
I know.
The marbles on that.
Heard the marbles there from Lundqvist as Mike Shanks says, 10 to go on a brilliant debut.
Look, I know that he's sorry, said it on the radio, but you can hold your head high, young man. That was a heck of a debut here in the IndyCar series. That is not the last time we've seen Linus Lundqvist behind the wheel.
And let's not forget, he has not had the cockpit cooling,
of course,
for 40, 50 laps.
Of course.
Guys, this is a huge break for Alex Palou.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Having just been told to turn up the wick, he can now go into crazy fuel save mode, but let's take a look. Top of your screen, lost it early, got wide.
Oof. And this is devastating for Newgarden, because if Palou was going to pit under green, he might still have to. Oh boy, that's shocking. What happened there?
He barely got offline. It just shows you with this much green flag running. Again, we've run more green flag in any of the other races we've done here.
And I don't know that the IndyCar is going to have time to send the sweepers out, so all those marbles will still be there, as another car has also had contact. That's the 30 of Jack Harvey in the Custom Entertainment.
And he'd only just pitted too. He hadn't long ago come into the pits.
Yeah, 10 laps ago.
But the issue is his wheel just snapped out of my hand.
Wheel snapped out of his hand. We saw that in Toronto with Romain Grosjean. Took him out of the race there, just kicked back through the wheel. You've talked about how bumpy this place is. No power steering in an Indy car. The wheel just constantly trying to rip itself out of the driver's hands.
The physicality of this track on this day, temperature now 90, humidity still 64. I think it's really starting to take a toll.
There was a yellow with 8 to go last year.
This is going to get crazy.
And that caused so much chaos that the race was red flagged for a period of time last year. So hold on tight, folks. This is far from over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar, guys. We just saw how dirty it is offline. We're going to a restart. This is what happened to Jack Harvey. This is in turn 8, coming onto the back straight there.
With the caution out, as you said.
Again, Linus Lundqvist. Listen to this. It's not going to sound pretty.
Oh, I mean, just the smallest misplacement of the car.
No, I'm so sorry.
That could have happened to anyone, man. That was such a small mistake.
And I know that voice that he just articulated, which is, this isn't happening. Nightmare.
Yeah.
It just went from great to horrible in one moment. And that's just really, really rough for the young driver. But like you said, James, he had a really strong day. He showed everybody what he's capable of, and can't imagine how miserable it was in the cockpit to have that concrete wall banging ending after what must be just a brutally hot environment with no cockpit cooling coming over the top like everybody else.
And it's not getting any cooler either. We're up to 89 degrees ambient, 64% humidity, but that doesn't sound too bad. It is just the feels like factor and the feels like number is
track temp diff 123, which is what basically just bakes like a hot plate your carbon fiber tub that you sit in.
And this is tricky for the drivers with the placement of the safety truck. They're having to drive offline through all those marbles. That's the last thing you want to do when you've got hot tires on the car.
All right, let's get an update on Alex Palou, championship leader with Dave.
Oh, Lee, the ever-changing game of strategy for the championship leader. Barry Wanzer, his strategist, came on the radio, told Alex, okay, now that is a game changer. He didn't say if it would change the game so that they do not have to pit, but he said, we're doing a great job, he said to his driver. He said, don't warm up your tires, don't weave back and forth. Hinch, that would be tough because he's got all those marbles on there. Don't do anything that would burn extra fuel. Save, save, save.
Yeah, he's going to suffer a bit on this restart. There's no doubt about that, but it's not going to be as much as going through a pit stop.
But if the yellow goes really long and we go green with maybe 1 to go, Palou, 88 seconds of push to pass.
So if you want anybody on your pit box from a strategic standpoint, it's Brian Herder. What's going on at the Kyle Kirkwood Andretti Autosport camp? Let's get an update.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him really quick. Just put the headset back on. So they are still trying to do some fuel saving calculations here. So know you're in fuel save. This may help that, but it's another restart. So were you happy or not to see this yellow?
We had control of the situation. Kyle was doing a great job, and we were making the fuel numbers, so we were going to make it. Now we won't have a fuel save. Now it's just a shoot out to the finish, so it's good for the fans. Hopefully we can hang on.
What kind of day has this been? It seems like the car's been great. Seems like you've made the right calls. Is a win the only kind of acceptable result here?
Ask me in 8 laps.
Fair enough. Brian Herder and Kyle Kirkwood ready to go.
Kirkwood, who started in 8th and has led the most laps in this race, 26 so far for the Florida native.
So a little bit of a change to the procedures here at Nashville from the last few years. They've been tweaking the restart zones. You know, obviously we've got the finish line here. The start was down here. What we're doing for the restarts now is the alternate start-finish line is down in between 9 and 10. So they'll come off the back straight through turn 9. They'll accelerate around turn 10. But one of the biggest changes, normally you don't get push to pass active until the first lap after the restart is complete. Now with the new system, the restarts are happening between 9 and 10. Push to pass is going to be active across the finish line rather. So out of turn 3 on that first lap across the bridge, you are going to see cars with push to pass available, which is going to make it very interesting down into turn 4.
And that alt start finish there between turns 9 and 10, as all of the drivers will be given feedback to their team right now in terms of what they're dealing with. And you want to talk about temperatures, Diff? There is nothing more miserable than doing 70 laps in the heat and getting a caution because that venting system does nothing at 60 miles an hour or less behind the pace car.
It may not be at the high speed and as spectacular as what it was the last 2 years, the restart zone. But do you remember what the replay we showed earlier? It was a mad, chaotic scramble in that restart zone at the only restart really that we have had. Of course, the start was waved off. We started on lap 2. But on that only restart during race conditions, it was pretty chaotic. So we're going to see. We're getting ready.
They come to turn 9. The pace car is off as the field stacks up.
Remember last year, Scott McLaughlin was denied a victory by his countryman, Scott Dixon, right at the end of the race with a late race restart. Here we go again. It's take 2. It's a do-over. Newgarden is all over his rival in the championship, Alex Palou. What kind of a restart is Kyle Kirkwood going to get? Let's go back to racing here in Nashville.
Look at the marbles firing off the Firestone tires. They go single file, but it's going to get lock up crazy.
As soon as the green is called, you can pass. You see up at the top of your screen in 10, a bit of cars getting side by side here into 11. That's Marcus Armstrong defending in the green car.
Great work, Kyle Kirkwood. Grosjean's pressing.
There's
Ericsson.
4 cars have crashed at the very back. Ryan Hunter-Reay, at least one Arrow McLaren.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Benjamin Peterson.
Felix Rosenquist.
Canapino.
Canapino.
1, 2, 3.
They are
4.
stacked like a car transporter.
I mean, that's a lot of cars to not just move, but move off each other with only 6 laps to go. This might be something like a 1 or 2 lap shootout.
Or a red flag.
Or a red flag. We've done it here 2 years in a row.
4 to go last year, the red came out. It's 6 to go now.
Yeah, we saw that Ryan Hunter-Reay in the number 20 Bit Nile car was also involved in that. He was able to continue, potentially damage on the number 20.
So 4-car incident, and these 3 jammed together. The AMR safety team have a little challenge to untangle here with a couple of rookies and Felix Rosenqvist. Check this out. Herder goes around.
There's Hunter-Reay.
Nothing wrong there.
Oh, Felix went in deep. Canapino went in deep. Peterson went in deep.
Listen to this.
He just gets on the marbles. So his right tires are dirty. Let's listen here.
Yeah, there's just nothing he could do. The
Look
right
at the left
sides
front.
were dirty.
Look at the left front. It's
And
just
then he
a
was
mess.
turning in from the top.
Did you notice Herder hit the wall? Ahead of him. Herder hit the wall as
but
well.
he's been doing that since the first lap. I mean, he got pushed wide there on the opening lap, so that's why he comes to pit lane, as everybody will, for the red flag.
Red flag is out, guys. We are setting up for another Nashville showdown.
This is almost identical to a year ago, and McLaughlin finds himself in a similar position. He wasn't in second at the restart. He ultimately finished second, but here we go. He asked for an extra lap last year. He's going to get a few extra this year.
Well, I mean, to your point earlier, Townsend, you think it was bad circulating at 60 miles an hour with the airflow. Now these drivers are sat. Look, he's waving. Get me something. I need air. Look at Scott McLaughlin. Yeah. He needs something on him. Inside that car, you're baking. It's like being in an oven.
It's the worst situation. Now you stop with 125 degrees under your rear, and it just fries you.
He needs water. He needs a fan. All these drivers do. Get an umbrella over top of the car. Get some shade in there. It is absolutely scorching. And Hunter-Reay stopped in the shade.
What a veteran move.
Well, he does live in Florida, so he knows what heat and humidity's about.
Clever.
That is an interesting move.
That's a veteran pro move.
Look at the tires, too. On all these cars, they're going to have to restart on these tires. They are a mess. They have just globs of spent old rubber glued to their Firestones. And that's why Rosenqvist effectively couldn't even turn once he got all that pickup on there.
As you get hot in the car, you get hot under the collar. I mean, the frustration on Scott McLaughlin's face there, even once he got the fan, sort of throwing it around the cockpit. It is so uncomfortable. It's really tough to explain to people how bad it is for these drivers right now.
So teams are now allowed to approach the cars. There'll be umbrellas, there'll be fans, there'll be some extra water coming out. Get ready. This is going to be a fantastic finish. We're under a red flag here at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix with just a few laps to go because of a late race restart and then subsequent crash. The AMR safety team is busy picking up damaged cars and returning it, cleaning up the scene. We're going to have just a few laps. It's going to be quite the showdown to finish this one off.
Someone get Cal Kirkwood an umbrella.
Yeah, he's out there in the sun.
Every other car's got one. Ryan Hunter-Reay parked in the shade like a genius.
Meanwhile, right behind him, the guy who's doing the chasing is Scott McLaughlin. He's got a nice umbrella and also a fan. And let's go to the McLaughlin camp. Let's go to the Thirsty Threes and Kyle Moyer.
That's who we've heard talking with Scott during this race, from starting on pole, still in position. So what does the yellow, now a second yellow and a red, do for your driver? Does he have something for Kirkwood?
Yeah, I love it because it gives us a shot, you know. Kyle's been pretty good, but then at the same time, I think we still got the best car. That's why it was on pole and stuff. You know, the Dex Imaging car has always been good, and the Chevy Power now is excellent, you know, on these restarts. So we'll see. You know, Scotty knows how to handle this. He's done it before, and, you know, we'll see. Hopefully everything works out.
Do we think it has to happen on the restart, or are there more opportunities in the final 3 or 4 laps that come?
No, that's this place causes yellows, and the reason is there's good places to pass, you know. You can pass in turn 4, you can pass in turn 9, you can pass in turn 11, you know, so it gives you a lot of opportunities to pass here. So we'll just see, you know. I feel we got the right guy behind the wheel, though.
Thank you, Kyle. Dave.
Standing by with Barry Wanzer, who calls a strategy for Alex Palou. And, of course, as soon as they abandoned the fuel save and went to go, 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 well, now you got your caution. So can you get there?
At this point, we're still not out of trouble, but we're in less trouble. So we think we can make it. We had a little bit of fuel error on the first stop. You know, sometimes the meter isn't exactly accurate on the car. So, but we're pretty confident we'll get to the end. We'll see how this goes. We know, obviously, this is starting to become very Nashville-like here at the end. The first part of the race hasn't been that way. We were counting on yellows based on our strategy. We didn't get them until now. Obviously, like you said, we bailed on the, you know, waiting to try to get a yellow, and we're going to wick it up to close the gap to try to minimize the damage when we made a splash and go. But now, we're back fighting, but we're going to have to save a little bit still to get it done.
So does that mean he can't fight for the win from third?
We're going to fight to stay in third right now, but you never know what's going to happen in front of us with them fighting, so you never know. We'll see.
That's right. Hey, he did say it was back to the old Nashville Lee.
Well, and again, Dave admitting that in their strategy, they built into their model multiple cautions, more than what we had so far today. And then here we are in the closing portion of this race, and there's been 2 in quick succession, including this stoppage.
Well, for Alex Palou, this restart also means this. Newgarden going to be elbows out. I mean, going for it in his hometown. You got McLaughlin in front. McLaughlin will be thinking about Palou as well. If Palou tries to make a move going forward, you got to think Palou's in full defense mode right now, just trying to protect and get out of Calamity Circus here in Nashville with as many points as possible.
Yeah,
he's not thinking race win at all. He's not thinking podium. He's just thinking survival.
By the way, 4 to go, Hinch, when this checkered flag falls today. At the moment, the points difference to Alex Palou's advantage is 84. Now, that can vary a little bit. Even if Newgarden gets ahead of him, he takes a few off. He's still in good shape. But you go back to the beginning of Iowa, he had 117 points. If he leaves here, and it might be in the 60s, might be in the 70s, that doesn't feel good when the walls are closing in and there's still 4 races. You get 50 points for a win, folks, plus bonus points. There is still time for the Nashville hero, the Indy 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden, to take it down to the last round.
And we're going next to Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway, where Joseph has been so...
After Indianapolis.
Oh, sorry, after Indianapolis. Right. Indianapolis.
You know the town that you live in?
Yeah, that one. That's next week. I'm already a week ahead. It's been a long stretch. Indianapolis next. That's been a track that's been very good to Palou. Obviously won there back in May. You go to Gateway, a track that's been very good to Joseph Newgarden. Portland's been good for Palou. Laguna has been totally repaved, so nobody really knows what they've got when they get to Laguna.
Right, so that's what's going on in the championship. Kyle Kirkwood doesn't care about that. He cares about race wins. Let's learn more about the Floridian.
Hi, I'm Kyle Kirkwood, and I am from Jupiter, Florida.
Kyle Kirkwood is your latest IndyCar race winner.
Let's go, Ron! Yeah!
My favorite holiday is Christmas. In Florida, that means usually warm weather, going to the ocean, definitely no snow. But it's a great holiday. Who doesn't like Christmas? I collect surfboards, and almost all of them I ride, so that's probably the only thing I collect. My favorite place that I've traveled to is probably Morocco, where I did a Formula E test with Andretti Autosport. It's got to be Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's just a legend.
Maybe Brad could find a cameo role for Kyle in his upcoming Formula One movie. Who knows? Anything's possible, KK. We'll see. So we're going to get this thing fired up here shortly.
Kid knows how to get barrels out on the shortboard, but he's going to have to find the concrete barrel here and keep it off the walls. I can't get over how dirty these tires look. They were hot and gummy with rubber. Now they've probably cooled off and almost like hard candy. Look, there's even a zip tie stuck in this thing.
You went surfing with him once. He gave me some feedback on your performance.
It was humbling. I had a bum hammy that day.
There's a good sound. The engines are fired, and the crowd is pumped because they know what they're about to see based on the past 2 years of chaos to the checkered flag. Yes, even our production crew are nodding their heads and cameras. because it is coming and it is going to be wild. Dylan.
Remember what Kyle Kirkwood said earlier this weekend. He said, we have been phenomenally fast on street courses all year, but I want to redeem myself here. As a rookie last year, this was his best race driving for A.J. Foyt. He knew coming in here that the Andretti Autosport cars were going to be fast, but he said, apart from Long Beach, this has been a frustrating year. I want to get it back on track this weekend. He's got 5 more laps and at least maybe 1 more restart to survive to try to put it all together.
Yeah, people questioned him on that move last year with David Malukas, and he kind of held strong hinge and said, well, I thought there was room. I was going for it. He didn't sort of put his hand up and admit it was his mistake or defeat. He's a hard-nosed racer. He has been a winner all the way along up to IndyCar and including IndyCar. So now he wants to get his 2nd career win in just his 2nd season in the NTT IndyCar Series.
I understand that Romain Grosjean was just waved around the number 8 of Marcus Ericsson.
Oh.
8 called for blocking on the last restart. Look at the red and yellow car. A little fade.
That's called a prolonged fade.
Yeah. Ericsson, let's take another look at it on board here with Grosjean.
28 definitely pulls out first. He makes the move first. So, yeah, I can see where they...
That looked in reaction to. But Ericsson knows the IndyCar rules, which is, hey, 5 laps to go. You generally all bets are off, but IndyCar officials calling that one.
Hey, he had the head of the dragon at the Indy 500 last year, and he controlled it to win the Indy 500.
Look at the crumble.
And so this is what is so good for Kyle Kirkwood. Kyle Kirkwood can put his car on the racing line. Anybody that wants to go around him, Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou, Joseph Newgarden, they've all got to go offline at some point to make that happen, as long as Kyle doesn't make a mistake, and you've got to drive through that to do it. You've just got to be a little bit cautious. These tires are going to be dirty. They're going to be tricky. They're going to be cold. Just make it through these first couple corners.
We've never had this much green running in Nashville, and therefore we've never seen this much spent rubber. I don't think I've ever seen it that bad at any track we go to. Look at the size and the quantity of spent Firestone rubber all around this track offline, and these drivers will desperately be trying to clean their tires.
So Kirkwood going for the win. We're going to go green next time by. McLaughlin on the attack. It's very straightforward. Then you've got Alex Palou in fuel save mode with his championship challenger and local hero Joseph Newgarden going for that podium. Do you remember what happened to this guy a year ago? Scott McLaughlin up against his childhood hero Scott Dixon for the win. Late race red flag, late race restart, and McLaughlin, with his parents visiting here from New Zealand, thought he might have been able to win in front of mum and dad, and almost got it done.
They asked him after the race, what did you need? He said 1 more lap. I argue that he needed 1 more turn, 1 more corner to pull the pass off on Scott Dixon and take the win, and he is not going to want to finish bridesmaid here in Nashville. Seems kind of fitting given what normally happens on Broadway. He does not want to be the bridesmaid anymore.
Well, 11 corners here at Nashville, 3 laps to go on the restart. That'll give Scott McLaughlin 33 corners to get it done as Colton Herta finds himself stranded on pit lane.
We thought it was going to be conversion day for Colton Herta, from a good starting spot to a good result. It has not materialized. Hey, what would Ric Flair say about this restart?
To be the best.
No, to be the man.
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
And the man right now is Kyle Kirkwood.
Woo!
Who's going to beat the man? That's what we're about to find out. Can Scott McLaughlin do it? It's Honda versus Chevrolet, Andretti Autosport versus Team Penske. And we're ready to finish off the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville in a big and spectacular way. Kirkwood with a great restart, as he did the time before.
Look at Newgarden. Newgarden just got into the back of Alex Palou. It was a kiss, but it was enough to say, I'm here.
Try and unsettle him. Elio Castro Neves and Will Power right there. Callum Eilert, also Graham Rahal.
Now Power on the outside of Castro Neves. I'm not sure that's going to work with how slippery that corner is. He's going to have to give it up. Eilert all sideways coming off 11. We all managed to make it through. Now through turn 1.
Up front, up front. Newgarden hasn't been able to do anything about Palou, and Palou was on. McLaughlin, Kirkwood has gone. The race leader has bolted.
Push to pass available, but I doubt Alex Palou is allowed to use it, so Joseph Newgarden has to be on the attack
slippery.
here.
Alex Palou almost lost the back end of this race car. That was so close to disaster.
This is Eilert, Callum Eilert, turn 1.
No, that's Canapino. That's
Is it
the 78. Agustin Canapino stuck in the barriers in turn 1, still green for the moment. Local yellow in turn 1.
And Newgarden might get a shot here as he comes out of turn 7 up onto the bridge. We know Palou has pushed to pass, but does he have fuel to use it?
Oh.
Here comes Newgarden.
Newgarden's tail end was all over the place there. The PPG Chevy in pursuit of the championship leader.
But look at the lead Kyle Kirkwood has, 2.5 seconds after one circuit. Incredible performance from the young Floridian. The battle is all for second place behind him.
It is. It's for that second and third spots, and in allegedly fuel-safe mode, Palou seems to be doing plenty of attacking. Dixon in the background, last year's winner, sits in the top 5.
2 laps to go. Palou hanging on. In fact, Palou looks to be up on the wheel, ready to use every second of the 81 remaining.
How's that fuel look, though? Can he get home in this fashion? We heard from Barry Wanzer before on his pit box.
Newgarden behind only has 17 seconds. That's probably 2 honest pushes left in the tank for push to pass, so he is going to have to get closer to try to pull that move off on Palou. But as you said, it's Palou on McLaughlin now.
Does McLaughlin decide I can't catch Kirkwood? Maybe I can help my teammate Newgarden, and tries to back up Palou a little bit. No, McLaughlin's been so fast, but all of a sudden Kirkwood with the advantage.
Hey, it's not over till it's over. Just one little mistake from Kyle Kirkwood, and that race can still go McLaughlin's way.
The new kid at Andretti Autosport has been the only Andretti Autosport winner in just his second year in the NTT IndyCar Series, and he is just 1 lap away from his second career victory.
2 corners to go till he gets the white flag. Then 2.1 miles around Nashville to bring home his second victory of the season. Kyle Kirkwood absolutely calm and cool as a cucumber under pressure here.
Look at this, McLaughlin's a bit closer. Here's the white flag. 1 to go, 2.1 miles. Can Kyle Kirkwood do it?
McLaughlin appears to be closing. He's responded to that pressure from Palou. He's got his head down. He does not want to finish second 2 years in a row. Now Newgarden seems to be finding some pace further back, closing a bit on Palou.
That distance between first and second was as much as 2.5 seconds after the restart. It's down to less than a second. Here comes Scotty Mack. This is not over yet. Palou hanging in there. Back-to-back podiums in as many races. The second race at Iowa, and here in Nashville. That's going to help sustain an 80-plus point championship lead.
Last time over the bridge, out of 8, Kyle Kirkwood up through the gears. Just really call it 3 corners to go, 3 left-handers. You got to nail the brake zone, hit your apex, and if you're Scott McLaughlin, you're thinking, no, not 2 years in a row.
Well, the first 2 races here in the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix have been won by Chip Ganassi Racing. It's going to be a different team winning this year. Andretti Autosport at the front, Andretti Autosport in control. McLaughlin saying this is history repeating. I can't believe it, because he's looking at the back of Kyle Kirkwood, who wins in Nashville, Tennessee.
Winner. Nashville hot chicken dinner, buddy. Good job.
Kirkwood.
Come on, great strategy, great pit stop. Win number 2 of the year. Come on, boys, finish strong.
Hey, Kyle, celebrate a little bit more. You just won.
He's too tired, man. He's too hot. He's too tired. He wants to get that helmet off. He wants a cold drink of water and to celebrate with this crew here. Huge congrats to Andretti Autosport and the crew on the 27. That was, as Dylan said earlier, that was a Brian Herta strategy masterclass, as well as an excellently, perfectly executed race from behind the wheel from this guy.
Fantastic stuff. All last year, Kirkwood had many DNFs, and there was question marks about whether or not he could find the composure that earned him the opportunity to be an IndyCar. But everybody told me, hey, when this kid finds the lead, look out. That's where he only knows how to race, through the lower levels. He found it today. He didn't look back.
He was a rock star in the road to Indy. He's now a rock star in the NTT IndyCar Series. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix belongs to Kyle Kirkwood and Andretti Autosport. How about that? Second season and second win for the Auto Nation pilot, Kyle Kirkwood. If you haven't heard of this guy before, you're going to hear a whole lot more about him. This guy's here in IndyCar, and he is here to stay. This talented youngster from Florida. And there is Scott McLaughlin. He worked hard today, so did everybody. These guys are elite athletes, and this shows you what their bodies are put through here in Nashville. There's his teammate, Joseph Newgarden. This is a tough test.
And those guys are out already. Poor Kyle Kirkwood's having to sit there with his helmet on, trapped in his race car. Get the kid out.
Winning has a great way of overcoming the desperate heat that he might be experiencing, but I'm sure he's anxious to get out, helmet off, smile, and join his crew. Well deserved. What a great drive.
Oh, yeah. And in particular, the last 2 restarts.
Yeah.
Under immense pressure, didn't make a mistake, and took off.
It's a lot like running in the rain with all the marbles and the spent rubber on your tires on the clean groove. You're sort of the guinea pig. It's your job to try to figure out how deep can you brake when you're up front, and he just was flawless.
Here he is, finally some relief. And this checkered flag moment is brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts.
Kyle Kirkwood is one of the most decorated American drivers to make their way to IndyCar, winning championships at every level, and now he's showing us why he was so sought after. Win number 2 on the season, and this one took a lot of work. Tell me about trying to hold off a hungry Scott McLaughlin at the end. How did you do that?
Man, I'm not sure, to be honest. He was so fast at the end. We were really good on just the initial lap. But right there at the end, man, they were so fast, and they ran me down just in that last lap. But I got to give it off to the 27 crew, AutoNation, Andretti, Honda. I mean, they played everything in my favor, to be honest. They gave me all the tools I needed. I really only made a couple passes on track, and they cycled me to the front on strategy, and we just made really smart decisions and hit all of our marks. So just a solid day for the 27 crew, no doubt.
And from 8th. So I know win number 1 is always going to be difficult to top. But what's the significance of win number 2? Does it feel like validation that it wasn't just a one-time thing? No, I'm here, I'm for real.
No, it definitely does. You know, last time I was here was not a very fun event. We were super fast, and I just needed some kind of redemption, and we got it here today. So it's super cool, and like I said, hats off to the crew because they did a phenomenal job as well.
Andretti Autosport has been fast all year on street courses. They convert again. Kyle Kirkwood, a winner in downtown Nashville. Dave.
Now, what a day for Kirkwood. What a day it could have been for Joseph Newgarden. Where was the 2-car for you today, Joseph?
It was a great day, I think. You know, all in all, I mean, I'm disappointed with 4th. You know, we're never happy unless we're leaving with a win. And, you know, even for this guy behind me, Scott, you know, I'm sure he's going to be disappointed with 2nd. But I felt like we ran a really good race. You know, there was a little more opportunity that just didn't materialize in the beginning. You know, typical street course stuff. You get used up a little bit at times. It's just what we always see. You know, it gets tight, as everybody knows. But I thought it was a really good day from our team. I really thought they executed well. You know, some things we got to work on for sure that I think are pretty visible to us. But, you know, everyone's done a great job. You know, I think Team Chevy's always elevated for us. Great job this whole weekend, PPG, with their support. So I think we can leave here pretty happy, but just wishing we had a little more.
Were you aware of Pelot's situation when it was a bad fuel situation for him and your opportunity to pounce?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew the story.
Okay. No doubt that he knew what was going on, just couldn't do anything more with it. Dylan?
And Alex Pelot somehow comes home in the 3rd spot. He and strategist Barry Wands are here recapping their day. When you crossed the line, you said, oh my God, I can't believe it. How improbable was this result today, given how bleak it looked at one point near the end of the race?
We had the speed. It was improbable after the call we did on that first yellow. Honestly, we talked about it before the race. We expected more yellows. And it was not the right call, but hey, we survived. We made it work. We were saving a ton of fuel throughout all the race, and it was a tough race, honestly. Had a lot of stress going on, but we made it work. We're on the podium, so yeah, couldn't be happier now.
Sometimes you have years where it just seems like everything kind of falls your way. I think that's been a year for you guys like this year. As we look down the road to 3 races or 4 races left in the championship, when do you start to look at that? There's still a lot of racing left, but it's looking good for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a tremendous job throughout all year. All the strategies calls, honestly, worked out. We've been lucky sometimes, like today. We have to say that. But yeah, we need to get that number 10 American Legion on top on the championship. So we'll keep on pushing. We'll keep on thinking about races and wins. And once we get to the last race, we'll probably think about the championship.
This 10 team continues to keep their foot down and the pressure on everybody else around them, and Palou finishes third today, Dave.
And Dylan, Scott McLaughlin kept the pressure on as well. First, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Just, I gave him my all, man. Just tried my hardest, but Kyle, congrats to him and his team, just an unreal job. Days like today, I probably should have worn the cool suit, but I eat too many pies, so it's a bit heavy for me, but the Dex Imaging Chevy was great, and yeah, I'm really proud of everyone. Another top 3. Good points. Fun we didn't get the win, but you know, we weren't best on the day. Kyle was, and props to him.
Another year where Nashville was very good to you and you were very good to Nashville. You feel like it's yours at some point?
Yeah, at some point. Hopefully next year we run for the championship and then we win, and then we win the championship as well, and should be a huge party on Broadway. But anyway, it's I feel really good. I'm really proud of everyone. Thankful for all the support of the 33s. The pit stops today were unreal, and just really proud of the effort. And go have a few waters and then maybe a few beers. Yeah.
Sounds like the right chaser. Yep, sounds like the right chaser for Scott McLaughlin. Dylan.
Scott Dixon finishes in the 5th spot today, so everybody expected there to be a bunch of yellows. There wasn't today. How did that impact the strategy and what you guys had to do behind the wheel?
Yeah, well, there was, right, the 2 at the end. I think there would have been maybe 2 or 3 cars in front of us that weren't going to make it, the 10 especially. So, you know, good job for them. It's just one of those years they're having, and congratulations for having such a smooth one. But, yeah, we needed it to go green the whole way. We knew even the 2 was struggling a bit to get the mileage. I think had we cleared him early in the race, we would have checked out. His pace was quite slow. So difficult to pass here, and he was driving, you know, so well, you know, getting it off the corners on the straights perfectly. So credit to Joseph there. But yeah, tough day for PNC Bank, or a tough weekend, you know, with the crash yesterday. Had we started a little further up, you know, I think we would have had a much better day.
How tough were the conditions out there? Everybody's gotten out of this car and looked like they're just gassed. How do you feel?
Don't feel too bad. You know, first time this year I've run the cool suit, so that definitely helped. The hottest part was when we came in for the red flag, so, you know, it's what it is. But, yeah, it's a physical place here, and it's a fun race. It's a difficult one and definitely unpredictable, but it's a lot of fun, man. It's good to be here.
Hard-fought 5th place effort today for Scott Dixon, Dave.
Will Power Hydrating came home 10th. How would you assess the day?
Yeah, it was not a very good day. Yeah, kind of had to use a lot of fuel when I got into the car late. That stopped us going an extra lap, and we lost a lot of position just in that sequence. Sort of went from something like 3rd to 10th or 11th, but yeah, freaked out. It's like almost not starting. I mean, normally we have a spare pair of earbuds in the bag.
You didn't have the primary or the spare.
For some reason that were gone. The primary, because we finished qualifying late, I went back to the bus to do an appearance, and then they were in the bus, and yeah, not a good situation. Yeah, I'm gonna have about 5 spare pairs from now on.
I'll handle one if you want.
yeah, I was freaking out. Like, man, any longer we're really a lap down, and the whole day's ruined for not having earbuds. So good lesson there. Yeah, it was as good as we could do today. Verizon 5G car was it's pretty good. Just a bit of strategy stuff, and just one of those days.
Glad it ended better than it started. Lee?
Well, the overwhelming thing that you can take from that, and these guys are elite athletes, they are done. They used every bit they had today.
Huge difference between cool suit drivers and not cool suit drivers.
Yeah.
Look at Alex Palou.
Yeah.
Looked like he just finished a 5-minute warm-up. Scott Dixon saying, it's the first time I've used it. It's pretty nice, actually. Contrast that to Scott McLaughlin.
And Will Power.
Absolutely spent.
God,
Joseph
I wish I'd used it, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
So let's take you back to the last restart, and this is our Pennzoil moment of the race, and I think it can be coupled with the second last restart as well. Kirkwood was unflappable.
Yeah, it could have been an exciting, crazy moment, but in this case, it's a moment of precision and great execution for Kyle Kirkwood, not making any mistakes, staying within himself and within the confines of this very challenging track for that Pennzoil move of the race, just opening up a nice gap on Scott McLaughlin, who appeared almost unbeatable earlier on today until Kirkwood and Brian Herta and Andretti Autosport got ahead on the pit stop cycle.
And it was that gap that you're seeing him build right now on that first lap that gave him enough of a cushion to kind of breathe a little bit on that last lap as they closed the gap. Big embrace there from Brian Herta, the strategist that helped call that brilliant race. So just a great, great move from him.
One guy who was in the mix pretty much all race long, and at one point in time we were talking about, is this potentially the day for his first IndyCar Series race win? He ended up finishing 6th. That's Romain Grosjean.
That's right, and a nice solid effort for these guys today. You had to run the last stint on the alternates, so what kind of challenge did that present for you ultimately at the end of the day today?
Yeah, I think the middle stint really was our problem. We got into traffic and spent a lot of push to pass, trying to pass cars, and I ran out of black tires much earlier than wanted. So we did the long stint on the green at the end. It was okay, honestly, but we just had lost 4 position there. So yeah, our strategy wasn't on our side today, but it is what it is. So congrats to Kyle, and I think with a couple of very small differences on track could have won the race, but next time.
It's been a tough summer for you. Is this the kind of finish that you feel like can kind of turn things around and allow you to finish the year strong?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot going on the car this summer, but definitely Iowa was pretty strong, and this weekend was pretty strong for me. So let's go into next week and be full of hope for Indy.
It's his first top 10 in a while, and best Nashville finish. It's a 6th today for Grosjean, Dave.
I know Ericsson will be happy to go back to Indy. 7th for you today. Let me start with, did you have brakes? Because that was the issue all weekend long.
Yeah, I think in qualifying we got it sorted. So the car was actually okay in qualifying, but because we had the issue in P1 and then it rained in P2, I didn't have any dry running before qualifying, so we were just very much on the back foot. But yeah, I was still feeling, good after qualifying, even though we qualified 20th. So hopeful for a good day today, and I think we have one.
I mean, do you think from 20th to 7th? I mean, that's pretty darn good here.
Yeah, I mean, we were 6th there in the end, and then we got called on blocking, which I was. I want to see that again because I don't really agree with that. But yeah, still, biggest mover. I got a hat for it. Apparently not a trophy, but a hat. So, not a bad day.
All right, not a bad day at all. Let's go to Kevin Lee.
Let's go back to Victory Lane and speak with the boss, Michael Andretti. And you've got a lot of the other key people. You were talking about Brian Herta over there. I see Dan Towers back there. So you've been so fast on street courses, and you got number 2. What's the significance of where it is for the program to be able to convert today with Kyle?
Finally to put it together. We've been fast all year, and always something seemed to go wrong. But finally, with the 27 car, made it, and so happy for everybody on the whole team. It was awesome. Happy for Auto Nation and Honda. It's been a while, so it's been good to get back here.
Kyle won a championship before you at the level below, and then you had to wait a year before there was a spot for him. What did you first see in him when he was coming up in the road to Indy?
Well, we knew he was special when he drove for us in the Indy Next Series. He's the overall driver. Like, he's well-rounded, very smart, quick, knows when to push, knows when not to. So, yeah, he's the real deal.
Congratulations, Michael Andretti. Andretti Autosport wins the Music City Grand Prix, Lee.
Yeah, Music City Grand Prix coupled with the Long Beach Grand Prix. That's a pretty good year. So the Andretti squad will celebrate. And right at the head of the line is their man in the Auto Nation Honda, Kyle Kirkwood. Well, it's with this fabulous shot we say for the 3rd consecutive year, thank you to Nashville, Tennessee for hosting the NTT IndyCar Series. Another fabulous and memorable weekend. Another hot one on the streets of the Music City. And what a couple of weeks for the series, because we go from here in downtown Nashville, we head to the Circle City. We go to Indianapolis for a crossover weekend. NASCAR, IndyCar doubleheader. Huge weekend with 3 really cool and important races. 3 wide onto the front straightaway.
VK looking up the middle.
Oh! We're going to have a side-by-side race.
Alexander Rossi is an IndyCar race winner again. Yeah, can't wait to be back at the Brickyard. May seemed like just yesterday, but we're back. for the NTT IndyCar Series, the Xfinity and NASCAR Cup Series, and we can't wait for it. We'll see IndyCar on USA Network, August 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern, and then NASCAR on NBC, August 13th at 2:30 Eastern. So looking forward to that, fellas?
Absolutely. Big party at Hinch's Place, word on the street.
Oh, really?
Always, guys.
Oh.
You're always welcome at the Casa.
So, before we say farewell, final thoughts on this Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
For me, it's this guy right here, Kyle Kirkwood, reminding everybody why he's such a hot young prospect on the scene, getting it done just like at Long Beach.
For me, it's the fact that you can have a pretty clean race here at Nashville. It doesn't have to be 8 cautions. Everyone did a great job, put on a heck of a show for the fans watching.
All right, so we're going to be headed to Indy real soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. Even Ric Flair has been in the mood this weekend. The NTT IndyCar Series and the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Kyle Kirkwood put on a display, led 34 of the 80 laps for his second career win. We'll see you next week for the Gallagher Grand Prix from Indianapolis. On behalf of the entire team, this is Lee Diffie saying thanks for watching. Hey, cue the music.